Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto joins fairy tale konoha bashing harem. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by TheWhiteTitan and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Prologue, the end and beginning, Act. A 13-year-old boy exclaimed as he was kicked across the rocky fields. Though he grinned as held a giant scroll with one hand, he had spiky, blonde hair, tan skin, blue eyes and whisker marks on his face, wearing an orange and blue jacket with a red spiral on the back, orange pants with a brown pouch attached to the hips, blue sandals, a fishnet armor under the open jacket, a blue forehead protector with a symbol of a leaf with a spiral on the center, and a necklace with a green crystal on it. He was Naruto Uzumaki, a genin of Konoha and member of Team 7. Naruto landed on a crouch as he strapped the scroll behind him. He then glared at the one he was fighting. It was a girl about his age, with short, raven black hair that framed her beautiful face, glaring at him with red eyes, 3 black tomos spinning around her pupils. She was dressed in a black shirt that showed off her navel, white armbands, a black skirt, white stockings and black sandals, a pouch attached to her hip. Marring her flawless skin were black markings that spread from her neck, which had a mark on it, her skin slowly turning an unhealthy shade of gray. She was Sayuri Uchiha, also a genin of Konoha, and teammate of Naruto. Or at least, she used to be. The two were standing on the most famous historic spot in the Elemental Nations, the Valley of the End, where 2 of their most powerful shinobi in history fought, ending their friendship. To honor them, 2 statues of the shinobi were built, facing each other across the waterfall. "Why can't you just leave me alone?" Sayuri growled as her skin slowly turned gray, the black markings spreading all over her person. "I already told you that I want nothing to do with you. That doesn't mean you can just betray the village." Naruto shouted back, his eyes turning red. "If you think I'm just gonna let you go to that snake weirdo, then you're dumber than you look. I'll bring you back to Konoha, Sayuri. Even if I have to break you, Databeo." Sayuri just glared at him as she slowly changed because of the mark on her neck. Her black hair turned light gray as her gray skin was covered in black markings, the white in her eyes turned black, making her Sharingan stand out more, and her teeth sharpened. Naruto also started changing as red, bubbly chakra surrounded him. It formed around him like armor, forming claws on his hands and feet, 2 long, rabbit-like ears protruding from the chakra, and 3 swishing tails from the back, and his fingernails sharpened, so did his teeth, and his whisker marks became ragged, giving him a feral look. "Can you still think, kid?" a deep voice rumbled in Naruto's head. "This is all I can give you without you losing control." "Thanks, Kurama," Naruto thought, still feeling in control, despite the power. Kurama, better known to the world as the 9-tailed fox demon, a giant monster of unimaginable power. The creature was sealed inside Naruto at the day of his birth, to stop him from destroying Konoha. The two met on his 7th birthday, where they, despite everything that happened, became comrades through pain and loneliness. Kurama was the only one who didn't abandon Naruto as he grew up. "Naruto, don't show mercy," Kurama said in a serious tone as they faced the changed Uchiha. "If you lose, you'll die." Naruto didn't reply, he just stared at his former teammate. He never imagined facing her like this. It wasn't so long ago that the two were inseparable. The two then charged, and their fight was something that no genin could ever accomplish. The ground they fought on drastically changed, almost equaling the fight that made it so famous. Each attack they blocked created shockwaves, each jutsu they casted destroyed the land, leaving only the statues unharmed. Soon, the two, panting heavily, were preparing their final attack. To end this, Naruto was forming a spinning ball made of purple energy, his chakra merging with Kurama's, while Sayuri was creating a ball of black electricity. The two jumped towards each other, throwing their attacks intent to kill. Vermilion Rasengan, Black Chidori. The two clashed, creating a shockwave of rampaging power. Naruto growled as he slowly started overpowering Sayuri's attack. Just as he was about to tore through her attack, his eyes shifted to her face. Suddenly, instead of seeing a monstrous traitor, he saw Sayuri when he first met her, smiling and laughing, her black eyes filled with warmth and kindness. He suddenly hesitated, faltering in his attack. That was a mistake. Sayuri suddenly overpowered him and her black Chidori tore through his attack and hit him. Naruto suddenly couldn't feel his right arm as he laid on the water, staring at the darkening sky, faintly hearing Kurama shouting his name. He slowly turned his head to the right and couldn't find his arm. He could feel the scroll slipping from his back, so he used his left hand and grabbed it, his fist tightening on the strap. He heard some movement, so he turned his head and saw Sayuri, who returned to normal. She stared at Naruto with emotionless, red eyes before she did the hand signs for a Chidori. "I can finally free myself from you," she said as she grabbed him by the shirt, lifting him up from the water. "With this, I can kill Itachi. Goodbye, Naruto." Naruto tried to defend himself, but he couldn't move his arm. Sayuri then plunged her Chidori on the left side of his chest. He gasped in pain as his body violently convulsed. Blood spilled from his mouth as Sayuri pulled out her fist, leaving a big hole in his chest. Naruto stared at Sayuri with wide eyes. A tornado of hurt and sadness swirled in his eyes before he saw nothing. Sayuri stared at Naruto before she let him go, watching his body float away from the river. She saw the scroll in his grasp, but she was too tired to get it. She winced as she grabbed her right arm. That clash was really something. She was afraid that she would lose, but somehow, Naruto hesitated, so she took advantage of that. She stared at the body for a second before she turned and continued on her way to Orochimaru, unaware that her Sharingan was changing, the tomos and pupil merging and turning into a three-point, curved shuriken-shaped Sharingan. Meanwhile, inside Naruto's mindscape, it was total chaos. The walls crumbled and debris were falling from the ceiling. Naruto was lying on the ground, blood spilling from the hole. Damn it! Don't you dare close your eyes, Naruto! Kurama shouted from his cage as he struggled to get free. I'm sorry, Kurama, Naruto said with a bitter smile on his face. I held back and it caused me my life, but you can still live, Dadabayo. Naruto used his one arm and lifted his mesh shirt, revealing a complicated seal in his stomach. With a grin, he plunged his fingers on it and twisted it. Suddenly, the cage started opening, surprising Kurama. At least one of us will live to Bayo, Naruto said as Kurama tentatively walked out his cage. Kurama stared at Naruto with expressionless eyes. For the first time, after years of being controlled, restrained and humiliated, he was free to do whatever he wanted, to never be a prisoner again. You're right, kid, Kurama said. One of us will live, but it won't be me. Before Naruto could ask what he meant, Kurama clasped his hands together, his entire body turning into light. Meanwhile, Naruto's body was floating lazily in the river before a small beam of light hit his body. Sparkles appeared around his body before it slowly disappeared, leaving only the headband. Later, a man with gravity-defying, gray hair was rushing through the trees, following a small pug wearing a vest and konoha headband. The man was dressed in a standard jonin vest over black, long-sleeve shirt, black shinobi pants, black sandals, pouches on his hips, a black konoha headband and a face mask. Kakashi Hatake, the team leader of Team 7. He finally made it to his destination, the Valley of the End, and he paused as he saw the destruction in front of him. Whoa, what the hell happened here? The pug said as he stared at the area with wide eyes. Unbelievable, Kakashi muttered. To think this happened between two genins. He looked around the area, trying to locate his two pupils. He heard from the 5th Hokage about what happened after he returned from his mission. He quickly moved at top speed, passing by the team, all beaten up, but alive, as well as their allies the Sand Shinobis. He was told that the two were in the Valley of the End, so he went there, praying that he wasn't late. Paku, can you smell them? He asked the dog. The rain is washing off the scent, but they were here, Paku said in a serious tone. Sayuri Uchiha, she's gone, and I smell a lot of the blonde's blood. Kakashi, looking worried, looked at the river and saw something floating. His eyes widened when he saw that it was an arm with an orange and blue sleeve. Naruto! He shouted as he jumped down the mountain and ran towards the arm. He grabbed the arm and lifted it up, hoping to see his student. His eye widened when he saw nothing attached to the arm. No, he looked around the river, shouting Naruto's name, hoping to see the rest of him, but only saw the floating headband. Paku stood next to him, a somber look on his face. Kakashi looked at the arm and saw familiar markings on where it was severed. Chidori, he said in horror. Naruto, it's my fault. Kakashi, Paku said as he stared at him. It wasn't your fault. It was the Uchiha who did the final blow. But it was me who taught Sayuri the Chidori, Kakashi said as he took a piece of cloth from his pouch, using it to wrap it around the arm, tying the headband on it. Damn it, I was too late. He closed his eyes as he clenched one of his fists. He failed his student, and he failed his sensei. He then opened his eye, a cold look in them. Let's go, he said as he walked to the direction of the village, carrying the arm. What about the Uchiha? Paku asked. She made her decision, Kakashi said in a cold tone. Sayuri Uchiha is no longer one of us. She is a traitor of Konoha. Paku nodded before following Kakashi back to Konoha, to tell the bad news. The retrieval mission of Sayuri Uchiha failed. 5 genins deployed plus 1 extra, 5 injured, 1 possibly dead. Konoha. In the Hokage's tower, a beautiful, blonde woman was waiting behind her desk. She was dressed in gray robes, green pants and a green coat. She had amber eyes, big breasts and a mark on her forehead. She looked like in her 20s, but she was actually in her 50s. She is Tsunade Senju, the 5th Hokage. She was currently waiting in her office, anxious. Earlier, she sent a team of genins to retrieve Sayuri, but they didn't count on encountering strong enemies. The team barely made it out alive, thanks to the Sand siblings answering her calls, and to one of her patients rushing to the mission. Out of the 4 she assigned, 2 were severely injured and required intensive care, Choji Akamichi and Niji Hyuga. Thankfully, they were saved by the surgery. Right now, only 1 more genin was missing. Tsunade-sama. An ANBU with a tiger mask appeared in front of her, kneeling on the ground. Kakashi-senpai has returned, he is near the gate. Tsunade immediately stood up and went to the village gates. When she got there, she saw a lot of people waiting. Kiba Inuzuka, a feral-looking kid with red markings on his cheek and spiky, brown hair with some bandages wrapped on him, Shino Abirame. A silent boy with round shades and a collar that covered his face, Hinata Hyuga. A meek girl with lavender white eyes and blue hair cut Heim style, Ino Yamanaka. A blonde girl with light blue eyes, Sakura Haruno. A pink-haired girl with green eyes, Shikamaru Nara. A boy with bandages on him, his black hair styled to a spiky ponytail and black eyes, Rock Lee. A boy with a bull-style hair, bushy eyebrows and black eyes, and the three Sand siblings, Kankuro. A guy with makeup on, Temari. A girl with blonde hair and spiky pigtails, Angara. A guy with red hair and black rings around his pale blue eyes, a tattoo of the kanji of love on his head. Tsunade stopped next to them, nodding at their greetings, before facing the open gates, waiting for Kakashi and Naruto. Do you think Sayuri-sama is alright? Sakura commented. Please, Naruto was after her, Kiba said, rubbing his arm. No way she was going to get hurt fighting him. True, Naruto Baka wouldn't hurt her, Sakura said. Still, I'm sure she's alright, forehead, Ino said to Sakura. I'm sure Kakashi-sen caught up to her, and Naruto. Naruto-kun Hinata mumbled. Look, it's Kakashi-sensei. Sakura exclaimed, spotting her sensei. Everyone looked at his direction, expecting him to be with Naruto and Sayuri, but instead, he was carrying something wrapped in a white cloth tied by a konoha headband, a somber expression on his face. Kakashi, Tsunade said as he stopped in front of them, looking at her. Where are Naruto and Sayuri? Sayuri escaped, Kakashi said, causing Tsunade to narrow her eyes. I got there as fast as I can, but I was too late. Wait, where's Naruto? Sakura said, not seeing her teammate. Naruto, Kakashi said before he showed them the cloth, which they noted had a blood stain at one end. This was all I could find of him, I'm sorry. Their eyes widened, they stared at the cloth. They couldn't believe what he said. No, Hinata said as tears appeared in her eyes. You're joking, right, sensei? Sakura said as her eyes watered. Naruto can't be dead. Kakashi just looked down as everyone looked to the ground in disbelief. Shikamaru felt he was responsible for it. He was the team leader, but he lost one of his friends under his watch. He clenched his fists, angry at his failure. I see, Tsunade said, her fists shaking in anger and grief. What of the scroll of sealing? It is gone, Kakashi said. Tsunade just closed her eyes. Not only was Naruto gone, but so was the scroll. Suddenly, both Hinata and Sakura ran away from the group, tears spilling from their eyes. Ino ran after Sakura while Shino and Kiba ran after Hinata. Naruto, Gaara said in a sad tone. He just lost someone he considered his brother. It was because of Naruto that he was able to get over his past demons, and repaired the bond between his siblings. He then grew angry, the sand flowing around him in agitation. Uchiha will pay for this. Kakashi just handed the wrapped arm to Tsunade, who disappeared in a swirl of leaves. It was at this day, Konoha lost one of their own. Earthland. In a small forest, a short, old man with white, balding hair and a mustache, dressed in orange and blue clothes and a silly hat, was walking down a worn path to visit an old friend of his. Darn brats, giving me a headache, he muttered as he kept walking. Suddenly, a bright light caught his attention. Curious, he turned to where it came from and gasped at what he saw. It was an injured boy, with a hole on his chest and missing an arm, clutching on to the strap of a big scroll. My word! He exclaimed as he rushed to the poor lad. He checked for a pulse, and by some miracle, he felt one. He's still alive! He suddenly grew big, the same size of the trees, gently grabbed the boy and rushed to where he was going, causing the ground to shake. When he got there, he saw a house made of wood and an old woman with pink hair dressed in white robes and a red cloak, sweeping the ground. She turned and was surprised to see the old man, before spotting what was on his hand. What happened, Makarov? She asked as she led Makarov in her home, who gently put the boy on a bed and placing the scroll on the wall. I don't know, I found him like this, Makarov said in a solemn tone as poorly Yusuke removed his tattered jacket and mesh shirt, narrowing at the wounds. He's still alive, somehow. Can you do something, poorly Yusuke? Before the old woman could reply, an orange glow suddenly enveloped the boy's body, surprising the two. They shielded their eyes as the glow became brighter before it died down. When they looked at the boy, they were surprised. The hole on his chest was gone, replaced by orange skin with spiral markings. His arm was also there, with orange fur and black, sharp nails. What also got their attention were the orange fox ears protruding from his blonde hair, and a fluffy, orange foxtail. A single tear fell from his eyes as he whispered something that they barely heard. Kurama, Chapter 1, Welcome to Fairy Tale. Wow! I can't believe it! A blonde girl said as she stared at the building in front of her. I'm finally here. She's a curvaceous, 17-year-old girl with blonde hair, a small ponytail on the side by a blue ribbon, brown eyes, wearing a white, sleeveless shirt with a blue cross on it, a blue skirt with a whip and keys on her waist, and black boots. She was Lucy Hartfilia, and she was standing in front of a wooden building with the words Fairy Tale on the entrance with the symbol of a fairy with a tail. In front of her were two people, a man with spiky, pink hair and onyx eyes grinning at her with sharp fangs, wearing a black vest, baggy white pants tied by a black slash, black shoes and a scale-patterned scarf, and on his right shoulder was a red fairy tale symbol. Next to him was a blue cat that has white, angel-like wings and a green sack on his back, black eyes and white fur on the tip of his tail and belly. They were Natsu Drang Neil and Happy the cat. Welcome to Fairy Tale! The two exclaimed happily. So cool! Lucy exclaimed as she followed the two to the guild. Inside were different kinds of mages she never saw before. It was so amazing to see so many mages in one place, talking happily. "We're back," Natsu announced, getting everyone's attention. "Hey, Natsu," one of them said, a guy with thick eyebrows and big buck teeth, holding a mug of beer. "Heard you caused a racket again." Suddenly, Natsu punched the man on the face, sending him to a group of mages. He stood up, his cheeks swollen and looking angry. "What the hell, Natsu? That's for saying Igneel was there, you dumbass!" Natsu exclaimed. "I didn't say he was there. I just said that someone called Salamander was there. It's still your fault." Natsu exclaimed. "Oh, so Natsu's back, huh?" A shirtless man said, the fairy tale mark on his chest, wearing boxers and a necklace with a silver cross on it. He had black, spiky hair and black eyes. "Good, it's time for payback." This was Grateful Buster, and he charged towards Natsu, who was fighting about 5 angry people. He kicked Natsu on the face, causing him to retaliate by punching Gray on the face. "If you're a man, then fight like a man." A giant, tan man with a thin below his left eye, has spiky, white hair and black eyes. He was Elfman Strauss, and he joined the scuffle, causing a lot of the mages to get hit, causing them to join the fight. "What's happening?" Lucy exclaimed as the people happily chatting started fighting. "Geez, you men are so noisy," a brunette said, wearing brown pants and a blue bra. Next to her were kegs full of alcohol. She was Kana Alberona. "How can a woman enjoy her drink? That's a lot of alcohol," Lucy exclaimed before someone slammed into her. She fell to the ground, groaning. She looked up and her eyes widened as she saw a naked Gray in front of her. "Kia!" she exclaimed as she covered her eyes. "Ah! My boxers!" Gray exclaimed as he saw that he was naked. "Looking for these?" Natsu said as he held Gray's boxers, taunting him. "Natsu, you bastard!" Gray exclaimed, before he turned to a blushing Lucy. "Excuse me, miss, but can you lend me your underwear?" "Hell no!" she exclaimed as she used the nearest object, a wooden barrel, and slammed Gray right back to Natsu. "Geez, what an unpleasant bunch," a voice said. Lucy turned and saw that it was Loke, an orange-haired man wearing blue shades, a gray shirt, black pants and a green jacket trimmed with fur, with magic rings on his fingers. He was surrounded by a lot of beautiful ladies. "It's Loke, the #1 playboy in Fiore," Lucy said, blushing. "I'll fight them for you, my ladies," Loke said as he jumped to the fight, causing the girls to cheer. "Image ruined," Lucy said with a sigh. "Oh, hello there," a voice said. She turned and saw a cute girl with white hair and blue eyes dressed in a red shirt with pink cuffs and blue jeans. "Are you here to join the guild?" "Why yeah," Lucy said, happy to see a normal person. "Great. I'll take you to Mireille," she said as she grabbed Lucy's hand and made her way to the bar. "Mireille, we have someone who wants to join." Era, really, Lisana-chan?" the barmaid said. She was beautiful, with flowing silver hair with a knot tied up top and blue eyes, her red and pink dress accenting her sexy body. "What's your name, miss?" "Wow, it's Mirajane-san," Lucy said, seeing the #1 model in Fiore. "I'm Lucy Hartfilia." "Era, welcome, Lucy-san," Mirajane Strauss said with a kind smile. Lucy said as the fighting kept going. "Shouldn't we stop them?" "Don't worry, this is normal," Mirajane said before a stray bottle hit her on the head. "Mirajane-san," Lucy exclaimed in worry, as Mirajane stood up, blood dripping from her head. "See? Normal," Mirajane said with a smile, scaring Lucy because of the blood. "Geez, be careful, Mirane," Lisana said as she held a first aid kit, pulling out bandages. Suddenly Natsu, Gray, Elfman, Kana, Loke, and everyone else started forming magic attacks. Lucy started panicking, so did Mirajane and Lisana. Before they could unleash their attacks, a giant shadow loomed over them. Everyone stopped and looked at the figure casting the shadow. "What are you brats doing?" he exclaimed in a deep voice, glaring at them with glowing, yellow eyes. "He's huge!" Lucy exclaimed. "Ha ha!" Natsu laughed, not noticing the giant. "What's the matter? You guys scared?" He stopped laughing when the giant stepped on him, creating a small crater on the wooden floors. He lifted his foot up and saw a beaten Natsu, his eyes swirling. "Oh, hello, Master," Mirajane greeted. "I didn't see you return." "Master!" Lucy exclaimed with wide eyes, looking at the Master of Fairy Tale. She jumped when the giant looked at her. "Oh? A new member?" he asked Lucy, who was shaking in fear. Why yes sir," she managed to say. Suddenly, the giant started shrinking until it showed a short, old man wearing orange and blue with a silly hat, surprising Lucy. "Greetings, I'm Makarov Dreyer," he said to Lucy before he jumped towards the second floor, only to hit the back of his head on the wooden rails. He grabbed on the rails to stop himself from falling, before he stood straight, acting like he didn't just hit his head. "Alright, you damn brats, you've done it again. I've got more complaints from the council." Everyone looked down in shame as a bunch of papers appeared from his hands. "Elfman, you beaten up your client because he said that real men have education," he read, staring at the sheepish Elfman. "He told me I wasn't manly," he muttered as he looked away. "Gray, you managed to beat the smugglers, but you were naked in the village, and stole people's underwear that were being dried. It's better than being naked, Gray said, looking away. Then don't be naked in the first place, idiot, someone said. Shut up, Kurama! Gray exclaimed. Kana! You drank about 3 bars worth of alcohol and sent the bill to the council. TCH. They figured it out, Kana said. Loke. You were flirting with Elder Reiji's granddaughter. And a certain talent agency charged us for damage compensation, too. Loke's sweat dropped and looked away. And Natsu? Makarov just sighed tiredly as Natsu sat up, rubbing his head in pain. You defeated the Devanthy family, but destroyed 7 houses that belonged to the villagers, leveled a historical clock tower in Tully village, burning down a church in Frisia, damaging parts of Lupanus castle, and then destroying half of Horujan's port. Most of the articles in the magazine were done by Natsu, Lucy thought with a sweat drop as she looked at the pouting mage. Alzak, Levy, Ritas, Warren, Biska, Jet, Droy, Vijiter, Loki, Max, Shiko. Makarov kept listing names, naming almost everyone in the guild. And where's Fox? He finished his mission perfectly, until he decided to blow up the mansion he was protecting. Lucy saw that almost all of them turned to the corner of the guild. He made me angry, a monotone voice said. Makarov just sighed as he looked at the mages. He suddenly smirked as the complaints were lit on fire. Who cares what those old prunes in the council think? He declared as he threw the fire at Natsu, who caught it and started eating it. Lucy was shocked at what he said as the rest of the mages looked up, smirking, grinning and smiling at their master. Listen well, you delinquents. Any power that surpasses reason comes from reason, right? Magic isn't some miraculous power. It is a talent that only works when the flow of energy that is inside of us and the flow of energy in the natural world are in perfect harmony. To perform magic, one must have a strong mind and the ability to focus. It should take over your being and come pouring out of your soul. If all we do is worry about rules, then our magic will never grow. Don't let those blowhards of the council scare you. Just follow what your heart believes in. That's what makes fairy tale number 1. He then threw his hand in the air, with the palm facing backward, with the pinky, ring finger and middle finger curled. Everyone cheered and did the same hand sign. Lucy smiled as the mages cheered. This guild was even better than she dreamed. Later, everyone was finally calm and started drinking, eating and talking happily. Lucy just finished doing paperwork, so she handed it to Mary Jane. Wow, a celestial spirit mage? Mary Jane said as she read the paperwork. That's quite rare. Well, everything is in order. She then grabbed a stamp from underneath the counter. Where do you want the guild symbol, and what color? Pink, please, and on top of my hand right here, Lucy said, lifting her right hand. Mara stamped on it, and a glow of pink light, the symbol of fairy tale, was at her hand. Congratulations, Lucy-san, Mary Jane said with a smile. You're now a mage of fairy tale. Lucy looked at the symbol on her hand with awe and wonder. Finally, her dream of joining fairy tale came true. She turned to Natsu, who was eating meals made from fire. Sitting next to him was Lee-sana, who was petting Happy, who was happily eating a fish. Look, Natsu, I'm part of fairy tale now, Lucy said with a grin. Natsu looked at her before going back to his meal of fire. That's great, Luigi. It's Lucy, she exclaimed, glaring at Natsu. Mary Jane laughed wholeheartedly. You'll get used to things quickly, Lucy-san, Mary Jane said with a smile. Lucy, getting over her anger, smiled at Mary Jane. Her eyes then started wandering all over the guild. She saw Kana drinking, Elfman flexing his arms and saying how manly he was, Ritas painting, Vijiter dancing, Loki flirting with various women and Levi hanging out with Jet and Droy. She suddenly spotted someone sitting farther away from the others. He was tall, wearing a black cloak with the hood up, black pants with bandages tied on the ankles, black sandals, a black, long-sleeved shirt under a flak jacket, bandages wrapped on his wrists, black gloves, 3 pouches on his hips, a giant scroll strapped on his back, a face mask and a headband tied around his eyes, with a metal plate with the symbol of fairy tale engraved on it. Resting on top of his head was a cat similar to Happy, with orange fur, black on the paws, tips of his ears and tail, and underbelly, wearing an orange and blue jacket with a red spiral on the back and matching pants with a pouch attached to his hip, the tail swooshing lazily. Suddenly, the person turned to her direction. He nodded at her, causing her to blush, embarrassed that she was caught staring at her, before he turned back to facing the wall again, with a small bottle of sake. Mary Jane-san, who's he? Lucy asked as she gestured at the cloaked man. Oh, that's Fox, Mary Jane said with a dreamy smile, a pink hue on her face before it disappeared, causing Lucy to think if she imagined it. Why, did he manage to sweep you off your feet? And no, she said, blushing. It's just that he seems so mysterious, sitting there all alone. Yes, he likes to keep to himself, Mary Jane said with a slight sad look. Despite being so distant, he's a very nice guy. He's been in the guild for a long time, 6 years I think. I don't know much, though, only that he's a ninja of sorts. A ninja? Lucy said, looking excited. So it seems, Mary Jane said with a sigh. Despite being a nice guy, it's hard to talk to him. He has this monotone voice and he doesn't talk much. I wish I know him more, to be honest. Then why don't you? Lucy asked, curious. It's because Mirane likes him, Lee-sana said in a teasing tone, causing the older girl to blush. Some of the men, and a few women, glared murderously at Fox, who didn't notice as he drank his cup of sake. It's not because of that, she denied. It's because I know Fox for so long that it'll be weird if I just talk to him now. I feel bad that I didn't try to be his friend. Some of the mages that were listening scoffed at what she said and went back to what they were doing, while others also seemed sad that they didn't try to be his friend. That sounds like an excuse, Lucy said as she looked at Fox. Well, he's not the easiest person to talk to, Mary Jane added awkwardly. Wanting to remove this awkwardness, she added, oh. He also takes on C-rank missions only. Really? Lucy said, surprised. Yeah, I know he can do better in a higher rank mission, but on record, he's a C-class mage, Mary Jane said, though from her eyes she didn't believe that. But he looks so professional, Lucy said. How can he be so weak? I don't know, Mary Jane said with a shrug. But he's always been so mysterious. Only the master knows what he looks like. Lucy's interest peaked when she heard that. She always loves a good mystery. But I know he's stronger than he lets on, Mary Jane said as she leaned to whisper. Rumor has it that he trained Kana-san for her S-class exam a year ago. Really? Lucy asked, surprised as she looked at the brunette, who was drinking another keg of alcohol. How did she do? She did amazingly well, Mary Jane said with a smile. Honestly, I was surprised on how strong she became. That's why I'm convinced Fox is stronger than he lets on. Wow, Lucy said as she looked at Fox. What about the cat on his head? That's Kurama, Mary Jane said with a smile. He's like Happy, only he's lazy and a little mean. He can fly and talk too. Another flying cat, Lucy said as she looked at Happy, who was happily munching on some fish. He's quite smart too, and Fox seemed to have trained him as well, Mary Jane added. What do you mean? Lucy asked. Watch this, Mary Jane said as she picked up a glass and threw it at Fox, surprising Lucy. Before she could say something, Kurama's tail swatted the glass without even looking at it, causing it to spin towards the table, landing on it without breaking. See? Wow, that was amazing, Lucy said in awe. They always seem to have their guard up. It's quite adorable, Mary Jane said with a sigh as she stared at Fox. Lucy was now sure she didn't imagine that blush. I wish I knew him more. Then why don't you go there and talk to him? A voice said, causing them to jump in surprise. They looked and saw Makarov sitting next to them, drinking from his mug. Master! You don't just surprise people like that, Mary Jane said as she put a hand on her heart. You won't know him until you talk to him, Makarov said as he drank his beer. He then asked Lysana for a refill, which she did. And once you talk to him, you'll see that he isn't so different from us. Lucy pondered about Makarov's words before looking at Fox. With a determined look, she stood up and walked towards him. Since she's going to join the guild, she might as well make some new friends. I'm gonna go talk to him. Mary Jane and Makarov watched her go. Makarov then turned to Mary Jane, who looked away with a blush. I'll talk to him next time I see him, Master, she said in a shy tone before walking away, to do her job. Makarov just hummed as Lysana handed him a refilled mug. Fox just finished his bottle of sake, sighing in satisfaction. He can't get drunk, but that doesn't mean he couldn't enjoy the taste of sake. He could feel his partner trying to get comfortable on his head. On board, Kurama groaned as he leaned forward so he can look at Fox. Can't we go on a mission now? Not yet, Kurama, he said in a monotone. There's a new member, and the old man told us to stay here for at least a week every time there's a new member. But the new member's a woman, Kurama groaned. They're troublesome creatures. True, Fox said in agreement, having seen his fair share of trouble with the opposite sex during his missions. But that doesn't change the fact that she's now a comrade. Speaking of troublesome women, here comes one now, Kurama said as Fox felt a presence walking towards him. He turned and faced Lucy, who was smiling. Hello there, she greeted as she held out her hand. I'm Lucy Hartfilia. Fox simply stood up and shook her hand politely and said in a monotone voice, I'm Fox. Pleasure to meet you, Lucy-san. Despite his tone, Lucy could tell from the voice that it sounded young, maybe near her age. She looked at him and saw that he was a few feet taller than her, but she was confused on why his face was covered like that, and wondered how he could see and drink since his face was completely covered. The two just stood there, making Lucy feel awkward. She said, not knowing what to say. Is there something else, Lucy-san? Fox asked emotionlessly, making Lucy feel even more awkward. Mira-san was right, Lucy thought. It really is hard to talk to him. I was just wondering that, since I'm new to the guild, that we could talk, learn a little about each other? She said, as she stuttered. She didn't know there was someone so hard to talk to. Just as she was about to apologize for wasting his time and run, Fox gestured at one of the free chairs. Would you like to take a seat? He asked politely. Lucy smiled and nodded her head. Fox grabbed the chair and pulled it so she could sit down. When she sat down, he pushed the chair back before sitting on his chair. At least there's one person here in this guild that's a gentleman, Lucy thought as Fox pulled out another bottle of sake. Would you like a drink? He asked, gesturing at the bottle. No thank you, she said politely before she looked at the cat lying on his head, the tail swishing lazily. So, that cat is like Happy? Yes, Fox said as he turned his head up. Go and introduce yourself, furball. Why should I? Kurama grumbled. You know how troublesome it is to talk to a woman. Hey! She exclaimed as a tick mark appeared on her head. Fox simply used 2 fingers and tapped the cat on the head, causing it to fall to the table, rubbing his red forehead. Kurama sat up, rubbing his forehead furiously, a tear leaking from the corner of his eye. He glared at Fox, who just sipped his sake. Kurama grumbled before walking towards Lucy and held out a paw. "Hello, my name is Kurama, nice to meet you, you troublesome woman," he said. Lucy just gave a forced smile, and she accepted the paw, her eye twitching. "I think I dislike all the talking cats I meet," she said as Kurama jumped back to Fox's head. "You'll get used to him," Fox said as he sipped his sake cup. Lucy really wondered how he's doing that with a face mask on. He's always been like this ever since he hatched. Hatched? Lucy thought before shaking it off. I hope I don't sound rude, but why do you have your eyes covered? Fox could feel a lot of people, who were eavesdropping, leaning slightly to hear his answer. "Training," Fox simply replied. "I'm training to use my other senses to maneuver." "Why?" Lucy asked, since it sounded weird. "So we won't fall into enemy traps," Kurama replied as he looked at Lucy lazily. "This sadistic bastard made me do the same training." "Wow," Lucy said. "But then, why is your entire face covered?" "I'm shy," Fox replied, causing the ones who were listening to sweat drop. "So where are you from, Fox-san?" Lucy asked. "I was born in a village called Konoha in a place called the Elemental Nations," Fox replied. "Elemental Nations?" Lucy whispered as she thought about it. "I've never heard of a place like that." "I'm not surprised," Fox said. "It's a place very, very, very far away." "What did you do there?" Lucy asked, curious. "Working as a ninja," Fox said. "Really? You're really a ninja?" Lucy said, her eyes sparkling in excitement. "That's so cool. What did you do?" "Picking up weeds from gardens, walking dogs, painting fences, chasing cats," Fox replied as he drank his sake, causing Lucy to sweat drop. "Really?" she said in a deadpan tone. "I was a beginner back then," Fox said. "Though I did save a village from a short tyrant once." "Really? How?" As Fox told Lucy about his mission, a lot of the people were staring at them with wide eyes. This was the first time they ever heard Fox talk so much, and they learned a lot about him. Mary Jane looked at the two with a slightly jealous look before she clenched her fists, a determined expression appearing on her face. Kana also had the same expression on her face as she grabbed another keg. Makarov was looking at Fox, a small smile appearing on his face. It was nice to see his most troubled child actually conversing with someone. He had a sad look in his eyes as he remembered meeting the child behind the mask. Flashback. 13-year-old Naruto was sitting under a tree, a dead look in his eyes, his fox ears lowered in sadness. He heard some footsteps, but didn't bother to look. "How are you feeling, boy?" Makarov asked, but the boy didn't answer, causing him to sigh. "Look, this isn't healthy. You need to stop being so depressed." "What's the point?" he asked as he just kept looking at the ground. "I lost everything. My home, my dreams, my best friend. Everything is gone." "Not everything," Makarov said. "You still have your life. You're alive, because of your friend. He wouldn't be happy to see you like this. Live the life he gave you." "Life," Naruto said as he remembered the feeling on how death grasped him, only for Kurama to save him. Now here he was, in a world unlike his own. "I'm alive." Tears spilled from his eyes as he realized that, after everything, the pain and hardships he endured, he was alive. Makarov simply patted the boy on the shoulder as he let him cry. "What's your name, kid?" Makarov asked once Naruto stopped crying. "Naruto Uzumaki," Naruto replied as he wiped his eyes before looking at the short, old man. He then saw the scroll of sealing. "Here, you left this," Makarov said as he handed the big scroll to Naruto. "I'm Makarov Dreyer, by the way. Tell me, do you want to join Fairy Tail?" "Fairy Tail?" Naruto asked, his fox ears perking up. Flashback end. Despite becoming a member and liking the guild, Naruto hid his face, afraid of what the others would think of him because of his fox features. So, the day he joined the guild, he became the mysterious fox, who only took C-class missions, despite knowing that he could do S-class missions. "Perhaps you are ready to finally open to your family, Naruto," Makarov thought as he watched Fox talking to Lucy. Chapter 2, Fox-sensei. Fox was sitting on his usual table, far away from everyone, with Kurama resting on his head, a bottle of sake in front of him and a book of Fuinjutsu on his left hand. He just came back from a mission, nothing too hard, just escorting some merchants. They were nice people, so he didn't destroy their cargo. The merchant thanked him by giving him some high-quality sake. He also spent 2 days training before returning to the guild, so now he was just resting until the next mission. He used to be weak, but thanks to the scroll, he managed to become stronger than he could ever imagine. Though he was strong, he preferred to hide his strength, to fool his enemies, something he learned from Kakashi. Also, he didn't want to take missions that would keep him away from the guild for so long, leaving it defenseless. He knew he was being paranoid, since the mages were strong, but he just wanted to be extra careful. Fox-san?" a voice said, causing him and Kurama to look up. It was Mira Jane, who had a bashful expression on her face. On her hands were 2 trays with a bowl of steaming ramen, its delicious scent wafting through his mask. From the wetness he was falling from the top of his head, Kurama was feeling the same. "Mira Jane-san," Fox greeted politely, trying not to drool. "Can I help you?" Mira said, her heart beating against her chest, something Fox noticed. People always act jumpy around him, especially her. Why, you see, I was talking to Lucy-san, and she told me that you and Kurama-san like ramen, so, I made you some, if you want it. She then put the trays in front of them. Fox faced the bowls before he faced the nervous Mary Jane. He suddenly stood up and bowed his head, causing Kurama to almost fall off. Thank you, Mary Jane-san, he said formally, surprising everyone in the guild. You are right. Ramen is our favorite dish. And by how it smells, it will be delicious. Mary Jane looked surprised, but quickly smiled widely, a blush on her face. If you want, I could make you some ramen. If I have some free time, she said bashfully. That would be nice, Fox said with a nod. With a smile, Mary Jane walked back to the bar, a slight skip in her step. She patted herself on the back for getting an opportunity like this. After all, a way through a man's heart is through his stomach. Wow, that sure was brave of you, Marine, Lisana said in a teasing tone. Be quiet, Lisana-chan, Mira said in an embarrassed tone as she rushed back to the kitchen. Lisana just giggled, thinking that it was cute her older sister liked the man that did a lot for them. She gave a small smile, remembering what happened years ago, and she would forever be grateful to Fox for doing that. She turned to his table, seeing Kurama eating his ramen with gusto as Fox put his chopsticks down on the empty bowl, giving a satisfied sigh. So fast, she exclaimed, eyes bugging out of her head. She's a troublesome woman, but she sure knows how to cook, Kurama said as he drank the broth. He yelped when two fingers whacked him on the head. Hey, don't be rude to someone who just gave you food, Fox said in a stern voice. But it was delicious. Fox-kun, Kurama-san, hello? A voice greeted cheerfully behind them. Lucy then walked towards the empty chair and sat next to it. After her talk with him, she started seeing Fox as one of her friends. Kurama too, she guessed. Great, the troublesome blonde is here, Kurama said as he went back to his place on top of Fox's head. What was that? Lucy exclaimed to the cat, who didn't even bat an eye from her shout. So, I guess your mission to retrieve Mikao-san went well? Fox said, causing Lucy's eyes to widen. How did you know that? She asked in surprise. Well, after Natsu-san left the other day after Romeo stormed out, I had a feeling that you would go with him. After Mirajane-san told you about his father, the dragon named Igneel, Fox said, causing Lucy to look at him with awe at his detective skills. That, and because Lisana-san told me. Lucy's face faulted on the table, causing Kurama to chuckle. She sat up, rubbing her reddened face. So, how did it go? He asked. Lucy blinked before she smiled and started telling him about her mission, from going to a snowy mountain, where they encountered a Vulcan, a human-like gorilla, that kidnapped her, describing how she used one of her celestial spirits, which was accidentally knocked out by Natsu, before he fought and defeated the Vulcan, which turned out to be Mikao being possessed, after he fought 19 other Vulcans. Fox placed his chin on his intertwined hands, humming as he processed what she just told him. How surprising. I know, right? Lucy said in an excited tone. I can't believe someone could beat 19 Vulcans all by himself. Not about that, Fox said as he turned to face Lucy. I'm surprised Mikao-san was possessed by a Vulcan. Someone of his level can easily beat 20 Vulcans. But Natsu struggled against one of them, Lucy said, remembering how the Vulcan almost overpowered Natsu. The Vulcan probably got a boost from taking over Mikao-san's body, Fox guessed. Mikao-san is stronger than that, as well as experienced. It's surprising how he could get possessed so easily. He probably got careless, letting the dumb gorilla ambush him, Kurama said with a snort. Rookie mistake for an experienced mage. Hey, come on now, Lucy said, feeling sorry for the old man. Aren't you a little harsh? It's either be harsh and stay alive, or be sympathetic and get killed, Kurama said in an unsympathetic tone. Lucy had a nervous expression on her face as she heard that. Fox sensed her apprehension. So, how's it going with your spirits? He asked, hoping to get her mind off it. Lucy smiled at the change of conversation. It's going great, she said before a sad smile formed on her face. But after seeing how strong Natsu and Mikao-san, I'm starting to wonder if I'm good enough to join this guild. Whether you're strong or not doesn't matter in fairy tale, Fox said as he poured himself a cup of sake. But if it bothers you so much, then just train to become strong. That's what everyone in the guild does. Lucy looked at her friend, idly wondering how he was drinking through his mask, before smiling at his answer. He was right, and she didn't want to be a burden anymore. She'll train hard and become a great mage, just like her mother. All right, Lucy declared with a fire in her eyes. I'll train hard and become strong. Fox faced her direction, feeling nostalgic from her words, remembering how he used to declare that, causing him to chuckle. Hey, he chuckled. Hey! Don't laugh at me! Lucy exclaimed as the mages stared at Fox with wide eyes. No way, Fox actually laughed. It was a short one, but it was definitely a laugh. I didn't think he could do such a thing. Lucy's sweat dropped as she turned to the nosy mages. Was Fox really that antisocial that a small, short chuckle made them react this way? Sorry, I just felt nostalgic, Fox apologized. If you want, I could help you get stronger. Lucy turned back to Fox with wide eyes, surprised he would offer to do that. From paper, she knows that Fox was a C-class mage, but from what Marajane said, he was secretly strong, even trained Kana, who had quite the reputation. Is it true that you trained Kana-san for the S-class exams? Lucy asked as she looked at the brunette on the counter. Well, I just gave her some advice, Fox said as he remembered the brown-haired woman. She insisted that I train her, so I guess I did. Alright, Fox-kun, please train me, Lucy said with a smile. Very well, I'll you tomorrow morning at exactly 7 a.m., Fox said as he stood up, causing Kurama to jump on his head. He was about to go to the request board before he stopped, remembering something. Oh. I almost forgot here. He pulled out something from his cloak and handed it to Lucy. She took it and saw that it a beige book that had the title The Tale of the Utterly Gutsy Ninja and below it was written by Jiraiya. Jiraiya? Lucy asked in a confused tone, never hearing that author before. Who's that? He's my teacher, a perverted sage, Fox replied, causing Lucy to look at him with a sweat drop. He likes to write, and that was his first book, and the only one that isn't smut or titled Ika Ika. Okay, Lucy said, looking at the book with suspicious eyes. Why are you giving it to me? You told me you love to read, so I thought you might like this one, Fox said before turning back to the request board. I hope you enjoy it. Wow, you must have made a really good impression on him, Kurama said, flying with white wings. What do you mean? Lucy asked, turning to the cat. Fox told me that Jiraiya was the first person to actually help him become strong, Kurama explained as he looked at the book. And that book's like a treasure to him. Aside from the scroll, that's the only thing he has to remind him of home. Lucy stared at the book with wide eyes, not realizing how important this book is to Fox. She watched as Fox and Kurama left with a request clutched on his hand. She then smiled eagerly and ran out the guild, holding the book on her chest, not noticing the looks from both Mary-Jane and Kana. The white hair was pouting as an ominous aura surrounded her while the brunette started drinking faster, easily finishing the keg under seconds. It took them years to build confidence to talk to Fox, but the new girl made it look so easy. Suddenly, a determined expression appeared on their faces. There was no way they were going to lose to the new girl. The next day, Lucy yawned tiredly as her alarm clock turned on. She didn't get enough sleep, since she spent most of the night reading. She really loved the tale of the ninja named Naruto, who she thought was the perfect hero, doing anything he can to stop the war and achieve peace, to stop the curse of hatred. This is such a great book, Lucy said with a smile as she started undressing in the bathroom, to take a bath to wake her up. I wish I could meet this Jiraiya, but Fox-kun said he's a pervert. As someone who wants to be a writer, this book was a great inspiration to make her work harder. She dried herself and wrapped a towel around her body and hair. She exited the bathroom with a satisfied sigh. Her peaceful moment was ruined when she saw Natsu and Happy, lounging on her couch, making a mess. My room! She exclaimed with giant eyes. Yo, Lucy! Natsu greeted with a grin. We came to play. Happy exclaimed. You guys are trespassing. Lucy exclaimed as she kicked the two off her couch. Ow, what was that for? Natsu said as he rubbed his bruised cheek. That was so rude, Happy said. You're the rude ones here. Lucy exclaimed. What are you even doing here? Lisana said that you were staying here. Natsu said like it explained everything. That doesn't mean you can just barge in here. Lucy exclaimed. Haven't you heard that a fence between friends keep friendships green? What you did is a crime. You lack common sense. Hey, that's hurtful, Natsu said with a pout. Don't act like the victim here. Lucy exclaimed before there was a knock on the door. She stomped to the door and opened it angrily. What? Fox stood there as Kurama blinked twice. It took Lucy a few seconds to remember about Fox, before she turned red at both her outburst and appearance. Is this a bad time? Fox asked. No! Lucy exclaimed, waving her hands as she pulled Fox in. I was just getting ready. Let me change first. Lucy ran to her bedroom as Fox entered the room. Natsu and Happy saw them and were surprised. Hey, Fox! Natsu greeted with a surprised grin as Happy walked to her fellow cat, offering him fish. What are you doing here? Before Fox could reply, a fully dressed Lucy quickly pushed Natsu and Happy out the door as Fox and Kurama watched. Well, it was Nsazinjia, but goodbye. Lucy exclaimed in one breath as she pushed the two out the door and closed it. Well, that was rude, Natsu said as he put his hands behind his head and walked away. Happy said as he walked next to Natsu. What was that about? Kurama asked as Lucy faced them, blushing a little. Sorry about that, she said with a chuckle. It's just, I want to keep my training a secret. To surprise everyone is that bad? Nah, that's actually encouraged, Kurama said, confusing Lucy. Why? She asked. It gives you an advantage towards your opponents, Fox explained. As a ninja, deception is a weapon we use. The less your opponent know your strength, the bigger advantage you have against them. Lucy thought about what he said before something clicked. Wait, does that mean you're stronger than you show, Fox-kun? She asked. Fox, instead of answering, turned around and walked to the door. Let's begin your training, he said, causing Lucy to blink at his retreating form. So, what Mira-san said is true. Fox-kun is stronger than he lets on, Lucy thought as she followed the cloaked mage and the orange cat. Later, the three were in the middle of a forest just nearby the town. Lucy was standing nervously, though she was a little excited, wondering what Fox would teach her. She pictured herself becoming the strongest celestial mage in Fiori, becoming famous. Her thoughts were interrupted when Fox caught her attention. Alright, let's start by evaluating your strength, he said. I want to see you fight. Lucy nodded and was about to grab her keys. Without your spirits. What? Lucy said, shocked. But why? While I know that celestial mages that formed contracts with celestial spirits are strong, it won't do any good if they can't defend you, Fox said, confusing Lucy, so he explained further. From what I heard from Natsu, you lost your celestial keys and left you helpless. But that wasn't my fault. Lucy defended herself. I'm not blaming you, Fox said. But do you see what I mean? Even with strong spirits, it won't do any good if you're in trouble and can't get them to help. Well, that makes sense, Lucy admitted, looking down on the ground. So, what are your celestial spirits to you? Fox suddenly asked. What do you mean? Lucy asked, confused by the sudden question. I'm saying, are your spirits weapons or shields or trophies you like to brag about? Fox asked in an emotionless tone. Lucy stared at Fox with a shocked expression before it turned to anger. Who did this guy think he is, judging her like that? My spirits are my friends, you jerk. She exclaimed in anger. If that's how you think I am, then forgot about your stupid training. Fox just looked at her as Kurama smirked. Congratulations, Lucy-san, he said, smiling behind his mask. You passed your first test. Test? Lucy asked, tilting her head, her anger turning into confusion. I'm sorry for my rude words, but I had to be sure on how you view your spirits, Fox said. If you had answered in any other way, I would not only refuse you training, but I would have made sure you were expelled from the guild. Why? Lucy asked in shock. Fox looked at her before looking at the sky. A long time ago, I learned 2 important lessons, and one of them was from my other teacher, he said, remembering the words of Kakashi Hatake. Those who broke the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are worse than trash. Lucy seemed speechless by what Fox said as he turned back to face her. In Fairy Tail, we value our comrades more than anything else, Fox said, a hint of emotion in his voice. So, as promised, I will train you, Lucy-san, until you become a mage of Fairy Tail that can be depended on, as well as a celestial mage that can fight alongside her spirits. Databeo. Lucy and Kurama stared at Fox in silence before he turned his head, like he was embarrassed. Let us start training, he said as he walked away a few feet from them. That was kinda cute, Lucy thought, giggling in her mind. I didn't think Fox-kun could be cute. Now, Kurama, he called, getting the cat's attention. Go ahead and spar with Lucy-san. Do I have to? The cat said, looking like he didn't want to. I don't want to waste time fighting a weakling. A tick mark appeared on Lucy's head as she glared at the complaining cat. Just do it, furball, Fox said sternly. Fine, Kurama said as he faced Lucy with bored eyes. What? I'm not fighting a stupid cat. Lucy exclaimed as she pointed at Kurama. And I don't want to fight a weak, troublesome woman, Kurama shot back. But we can't get what we want, Lucy growled as Kurama kept making faces at her. Despite his adorable appearance, Kurama is stronger than he looks, Fox said as Kurama glared at him for being called adorable. I trained him ever since he could talk, and he could give the best of them a challenge. Kurama sighed before he clasped his hands together, and did a hand sign. Blue aura swirled around his body, surprising Lucy, before a puff of smoke covered his body. In his place was a kid about 13 years, with spiky, red, untamed hair, tan skin, red eyes and whisker marks on his face, wearing a larger version of Kurama's outfit, with blue sandals. Well, still wanna complain? Kurama said as he crossed his arms. What happened? Lucy asked, confused that a cat turned into a kid. Kurama can use something similar to transforming magic, Fox explained to Lucy. Now begin. Even if you can do that, you're still just a cat. Lucy exclaimed as she grabbed the whip on her hips. She started cracking her whip towards Kurama with a confident grin. Her grin disappeared when Kurama disappeared in a blink of an eye, the whip hitting the ground. Wow, how impressive, Kurama said in a sarcastic tone, standing a few feet away from where he originally was. Lucy growled before she kept cracking her whip. But no matter how fast she cracked, her whip couldn't hit the transformed cat. Hold still, you stupid cat! She exclaimed after missing the 20th time. Now why would I do that? Kurama asked sarcastically as he kept dodging with minimal effort. I don't want to get hit. Man, blonde women are dumb. As Lucy fumed and continued her efforts, Fox was watching with a calculative gaze. She's got control with that whip, but compared to Kurama's speed, she's slow, he mused. Kurama, disarm. Kurama nodded and raised his right arm, letting the whip wrap around it. Before Lucy could react, he yanked the whip off her hands, leaving her weaponless. Hey! Lucy exclaimed as she looked at Fox. What was that for? It's time we see how you do with hand-to-hand combat, Fox said, causing Lucy to stare at him like he was crazy. Kurama, light sparring. Lucy yelped as Kurama appeared in front of her, a punch aimed at her head. She quickly bended backwards, surprising the two with her flexibility. Kurama then threw a kick, but Lucy somersaulted backwards, narrowly dodging the kick. She's surprisingly flexible, Fox thought as Lucy kept dodging Kurama. Reminds me of Hinata and Niji, I wonder. Okay, enough, Fox called, causing the two to stop. Lucy put her hands on her knees, panting heavily while Kurama barely seemed winded. I have to say, that was impressive, Lucy-san. What do you mean? Lucy asked with a pout. I didn't even graze him. True, but your use of the whip was impressive, Fox said. But Kurama is faster than you, and aggravated you, making you sloppy. That's his specialty, making his opponents angry, leaving them with openings. Now your hand-to-hand combat skills are terrible. You could have been nice about it, Lucy said as she puffed her cheeks. But surprisingly, you're incredibly flexible and could dodge really well, Fox said, causing Lucy to beam happily. There's a fighting style that you could fit you perfectly. Ha! Take that, stupid cat, Lucy said as she pointed at Kurama, who still had his deadpanned expression. You know I was holding back, right? Kurama said, causing Lucy to freeze. That was just light sparring, and to make it sweeter, hand-to-hand is my weakest combat skill. He chuckled as Lucy was huddled on the ground, circling the dirt with her finger, a rain cloud on top of her head. That's enough, Fox said, getting their attention. This was just to see where Lucy stands. Now that we know, we can begin with the physical conditioning. Physical conditioning? Lucy thought as she saw an evil smirk on Kurama's face, making her nervous. She then saw Fox remove the scroll on his back and unfurling it. She watched as he laid on the ground, seeing any unfamiliar symbols on it. What is that? It's a sealing scroll, Fox replied, causing Lucy to look confused. Think of it as a lesser version of equip magic. All of my village's secrets are in this scroll. Wow, Lucy said as Fox stopped at a yin and yang circle with vertical lines around it. Fox's fingers were covered in blue fire before placed it on the circle, twisting it like a key to the look. In a poof of smoke, a smaller scroll appeared. Here, Fox said, passing the scroll to Lucy, who grabbed it. That's the scroll of the gentle fist style. Study the katas and techniques when you have time. Cool, Lucy said as she unfurled it, but saw that it has the same weird symbols on the bigger scroll. How do I read this? Get someone else to help you with that, Fox said as he furled the scroll and put it on his back. I recommend Levy McGarden. She's very good at translating. What kind of teacher are you? Lucy asked with a sweat drop at how he just dumped her on someone else to help her learn the strange language. She was surprised when Fox suddenly grabbed her wrists, placing a finger on them. Hey, she watched as her wrists suddenly glowed. Surprised, she pulled her arm back and saw a strange symbol on it before it disappeared. What is this? Give me your other wrist, he asked, holding his hand out. After touching her wrist and ankles, they had the same symbol on them, disappearing as well. He then did a strange hand sign with one hand, causing the symbols to glow. Feeling, wow, how pretty, she said as she watched the glow, before her body suddenly felt heavier. She found herself on all fours, her eyes wide when she saw that had difficulty moving. What the hell? What did you do to me, you bastard? Those are gravity seals, Fox explained as Lucy struggled to stand up. Right now your wrists and ankles are 3 times heavier than your current weight. Lucy looked horrified at that. How was she going to move like this? She glared at Kurama, who started laughing at her predicament. Oh man! This is too good. He laughed, holding his stomach. I guess we have to continue your training, furball, Fox said as he did the same hand sign. Feelin', he yelped when his wrists and ankles glowed, causing him to go on all 4. He grunted as he glared at Fox. Haha, Lucy laughed, sticking her tongue out to him. Kurama, unable to focus, returned back to his cat form. The two struggled for a few minutes to actually stand on both feet, both sweating and out of breath. Well then, let's start with a few laps around the forest, Fox said as he gestured at the road. The two groaned, but complied, nonetheless. After this, we're gonna do some 20-minute sit-ups, push-ups and pull-ups. I blame you for this, troublesome blonde, Kurama grunted. Shut up, stupid cat! Lucy exclaimed, already feeling tired. Fox watched them go, a small smile behind his mask, remembering those happy days. Later, sadistic bastard, Lucy groaned as she slumped on the counter, every inch of her body screaming in agony. She didn't think her body could hurt so much, and this was just the first day. She now worries for her future. Are you okay, Lucy-san? Lee-sana asked as she stood in front of the blonde, cleaning a mug. You look exhausted. I'm fine, Lucy said, smiling through the pain. Just tired. She then remembered the scroll Fox gave her, as instructions to the fighting style he recommended for her. Hey, Lee-sana-san, do you know a Levy McGarden? She asked, causing the white-haired girl to blink. Levy-san? She just returned from her mission, Lee-sana said, pointing at someone. Lucy followed where she was pointing and saw a short girl with blue hair held by an orange headband, wearing a yellow shirt, blue vest and white pants with blue shoes. Standing in front of her was a skinny guy with black hair styled like a stalk, wearing white shirt, black pants and black shoes, and a guy of average build, with sharp eyes and spiky yellow hair, dressed in a yellow fur coat with a matching hat, and black pants with black shoes. Thanks, Lucy said as she stood and made her way towards her. She still wasn't used to the extra weight on her limbs, so she was walking a little weirdly. When she got there, she tapped Levy's shoulders to get her attention. Excuse me? Levy turned around, surprised to see the new girl, smiling slightly. Oh, you're the new girl, right? Yeah, my name is Lucy, she said with a friendly smile. I'm Levy, and these two guys here are Jet and Droy. She gestured at the guy with the hat and the skinny guy. Wow, you're cute, Droy once said with a blush on his face. Nice to meet you, Jet said, tipping his hat a little. Nice to meet you too, Lucy said with a wave. So, what can I do for you, Lucy-san? Levy asked once introductions are done. Well, I need help translating a scroll, And someone suggested you, Lucy said as she showed the scroll, causing Levy's eyes to sparkle. Really? She said in an excited tone. Let me see. Lucy handed the scroll to Levy, who quickly cleared a table and placed the scroll on it. She unfurled it, and was silent as she studied the symbols. Lucy-san, who gave you this scroll? Levy asked in a curious tone, never seeing such symbols before. Fox Kudash, she quickly covered her mouth, but it was too late as the three mages stared at her with wide eyes. No way, you mean you really talked to him? Droy said in shock. Wow, I thought that was just a rumor, Jet said. He's not that hard to talk to, you know, Lucy said with a sweat drop. In fact, he talks a lot. Why would he give you this scroll? Levy asked as she looked at Lucy. Well, don't tell anyone, but he's training me, Lucy admitted. Really? Droy said in a surprised tone. But he's just a C-class mage. Then I look pathetic next to him, Lucy said in a depressed tone. I fought with that stupid cat of his and lost. There was silence before she heard a weird sound. Looking up, she saw the three mages holding their laughter, their cheeks bulging, face red and eyes teary. Lucy gave them an angry pout, and that made them laugh. It's not funny! She exclaimed at the three laughing mages, who were holding their guts, the two boys on the ground as Levy rested her head on the table. You lost to Kurama! Jet exclaimed as he tried to stop laughing, but failing. Lucy noticed that half the guild heard it and looked at her, either with amusement or pity that she lost to the lazy, orange cat. Look, can you help me, please? Lucy pleaded, wanting to change the subject. Foxconn suggested you to me since you're good at translating. Really? Levy said, so shocked that she stopped laughing. So did Jet and Droy. Yes, why is it that surprising? Lucy asked. Well, it's just no one really knows him here, Levy said. I'm just surprised that he knows my name. Yeah, Droy said with a nod. We're not even sure if he likes the guild. I'm sure he does, Lucy said with a nod. He told me this morning that comrades are very important to him. Really? Levy asked as she and other two looked surprised. I always thought he didn't like us, since he doesn't talk much, Jet said. And he covers himself so much, we can't even tell if he's a guy or a girl. Well, he did say he was shy, Lucy commented. Really? Levy said. I didn't think he was the shy type. You guys should try and talk to him, Lucy suggested with a smile. He's very nice. I don't know, Levy said with a nervous expression. It'll be weird if I just talk to him like that. I've known Fox since I joined 3 years ago. Ever since she joined the guild, all she knows of the mysterious mage was that he was always sitting on the table far away from everyone, drinking sake, reading a book, with Kurama hanging on his head. He mostly kept to himself and wouldn't even join the guild fights. Except for that one time when a young Natsu and a young Gray fought. Flashback. Droopy eyes. A 14-year-old Natsu exclaimed to a 14-year-old Gray, giving a sloppy punch. Pink hair! Gray exclaimed as did a kick. Go get him, Natsu! A smaller Happy cheered. Those two are at it again, a younger Levy said with a sigh. Honestly, a red-haired girl wearing armor and a sword on her waist said. Those two are going to wreck the place. She was about to walk towards them to stop it, but someone else got on her way. It was a younger Fox, getting between the two, with a smaller Kurama on his head. Enough, he said in a monotone voice, surprising everyone. Wow, Fox is stopping them? I didn't think he cared. You're doing it wrong, he said to the two boys before Fox started correcting their stances, teaching them how to give a proper kick and punch. There, now go ahead. The two started fighting, this time causing plenty of damage, much to everyone's chagrin. Fox then walked out the guild with a request on his hand. Ignoring the fight, he restarted. Flashback. Well, it's never too late, Lucy said with an encouraging smile. I'll introduce him to you guys if you want. Sure, she said with a smile as Jet and Droy nodded as well. Alright, let's get started. Levy put on some glasses and started writing on a notebook, looking intently on the screen. A lot of people gathered around her, wanting to see what kind of scroll Fox gave the new girl. Chapter 3. A busy day. Thank you again, Fox-san. A fat man with a small beard said as he kept bowing his head to Fox and Kurama as they unloaded the man's merchandise from the caravan. Those damn Vulcans are always after my wine. Think nothing of it, Mito-san, Fox said as he put the last merchandise down, a barrel of wine. This was one of Fox's frequent missions, escorting Mito's caravan full of alcohol. He's been doing this for 6 years, so he gets along well with Mito. Besides, it's nice to visit Crocus once in a while. Well, here's the usual payment, and a little extra, Mito said as he gave Fox a pouch full of jewels, the currency in this world. It was like Rio, only a different color and symbol, and a big bottle of sake. This is my finest sake. Go and enjoy it, kid. Thank you, Mito-san, Fox said as he sealed the drink in his left arm. By the way, did you get that package? Yes, it took me a while, but I got it, Mito said as he handed a small package to Fox, who nodded as he took it and hid it in his flak jacket. I'll see you next month, Mito-san, he said as the man waved at him. That was easy, Kurama said as he looked at Crocus, the blooming capital, and it was full of flowers, with petals flying in the air, a fitting location for the king's home. So, what are we going to do now? Training or sightseeing? It has been a while since we saw the kingdom, Fox said, humming. Let us take a break today and enjoy ourselves. Works for me, Kurama said as he yawned widely and started napping. Fox just ignored his lazy companion. He's always been like that ever since he hatched. He remembered it like it was yesterday, 5 years ago. What an unusual egg, 14-year-old Fox said as he held the big egg with orange markings. I wonder if it's a dragon egg. Natsu-sen might want to see this. As he mused, the egg started shaking. Blinking, Fox looked at the egg as it started cracking. It then exploded as something unexpected hatched from the egg. It was an orange cat with wings. Fox stood there, looking at the creature in surprise, before his eyes narrowed at how weak it felt. The poor thing was frail, and it didn't have any magical aura on it. His eyes widened as he saw that it was dying, giving small coughs. Shit! He cursed as he took off his cloak and folded it, forming a bed, gently placing the newborn on it. Doing a few hand signs, his hands started glowing green. Thankfully, the scroll of sealing had medical ninjutsu. It wasn't his forte, but he can do the basics. He placed his hands over the cat's body, trying to see what was wrong. After a minute, he saw that its magical coil was nearly empty. Since arriving here, he learned that, like how chakra is the life source of all living creatures in elemental nations, magic was the source of life here. Damn it, he cursed as he unfurled the scroll on his back, hoping to find something to save this creature. He quickly skimmed through it before he saw something. Chakra transfusion? He read it before nodding. He pulled out a blank scroll, putting it to the ground, a brush and some ink. In one swift movement, he drew the necessary seals. He then gently carried the cat off his cloak and on the scroll. Please work, he said as he pulled a kunai and cut his palm. He formed a fist, causing the blood to cover his hand. Phew! He slammed his hand on the scroll, and second later, the seals started glowing. He could feel a chakra coiling inside the cat's body. He kept his hand on the seal as chakra paths formed inside the cat, until it wasn't dying anymore. He gave a sigh of relief as he removed his hand from the seal. He felt his chakra reserves were drained, but he could easily recover from that. He looked up when he heard a little yawn. He saw the orange cat staring at him with red eyes before smiling. Fox stared at it before smiling as well. Flashback end. He gave a fond smile as he remembered that day. He named the little creature after his late friend, since their furs have the same color, as well as the same attitude when he's with others. It was probably a side effect of having his chakra transferred to him. Fox suddenly stopped as Kurama's ears perked up. The two suddenly disappeared in a swirl of leaves that flew with the petals. In a forest just a mile away from the castle, a group of bandits were happily carrying a bounded girl about 12 years old with wavy green hair and dark green eyes. A gold coronet with a gem on the center was on her head, dressed in a white and pink dress. Told you this was an easy gig, one of them exclaimed. Bribe one of the servants, and we got ourselves a royal brat. Imagine how much the slave market is gonna pay for her. Forget about the market. We can train her ourselves, one of them said, leering at the poor girl. We can sell her and play with her as long as we want. The poor girl started crying as some of the men started thinking that that was a good idea. Suddenly, there was a cold chill in the air, and the shadows started moving unnaturally. What's going on? One of them asked as they pulled out their swords and guns. People like you disgust me, a voice echoed through the woods as the shadows slithered towards them. Shadow grace, black vortex. The shadows started swirling and the bandits found themselves sinking into the darkness. They screamed and attacked at the shadows, but nothing. Only the girl was left alone as she watched her kidnappers disappear into the shadows. Once they were gone, Fox appeared behind the tree as the shadows returned to normal, as if tamed by his mere presence. That was a waste of time, Kurama said from Fox's head before looking at the girl. But at least we saved her. It's all right, Fox said in a gentle tone as he laced his finger with chakra, using it to cut the rope. I won't hurt you. You're safe now. The girl stared at him with surprised eyes before she started crying. Without warning, she lunged at Fox, wrapping her small arms around his waist. Fox blinked behind his headband before he petted the poor girl. Come on, he said in a gentle tone as he carried her in his arms. Let's get you back home. Judging from her clothes, and that crown on her head, she's the king's daughter, Kurama said. Then let us go to the palace, Fox said before they disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Inside the castle, it was chaos. Servants were frantic as they searched for the missing princess, the healers moving around wildly as they tried to save the queen's life, the king sitting on his throne, unable to think with worry, and a man with curly hair and a long nose dressed in white armor barking orders to the soldiers. Find Her Majesty. He barked angrily. If the princess isn't found by the end of the hour, all of you will be punished. Excuse me, a voice said behind him. But is this the girl you're looking for? Surprised, the man and everyone turned and saw Fox carrying the princess with Kurama, who raised a paw. Yo, Hijiri-chan. The king, a short man with curly, blonde hair and mustache, dressed in royal robes, exclaimed as he rushed towards Fox, the crown falling off his head. You're safe, Kabo. Father! Hijiri exclaimed as she jumped off Fox's arm and into her father's. I was so scared. Fox watched the scene and smiled behind his mask. He then saw the man in white armor walk towards him and bowed. Thank you, sir, he said in a grateful tone. Are you the one in charge of security? Fox asked. Yes, I am Arcadios, chief of the Cherry Blossom Knights, the man introduced himself. May I ask for your name? Fox of Fairy Tale, and this is Kurama, Fox introduced himself and Kurama. If you are in charge, you might want this person. His shadow suddenly moved and a person appeared. Arcadio's eyes widened when he saw that it was one of the newer servants. He was in cahoots with the bandits that kidnapped the girl, Fox explained as the shadow spat out the unconscious servant. One of them said something about bribing. That bastard, Arcadio said in a menacing tone. Take him away. Sir, do you think he poisoned the queen? One of the soldiers asked. Poison? Fox thought as he turned to them. Damn him, poisoning the queen as a distraction to kidnap the princess. Arcadios cursed. Excuse me, Arcadios-san, Fox said, getting his attention. But would you allow me to look at the queen? I may be of assistance. See, can you really help Cabo? The king asked as he held his daughter tightly. I will see if I can, Fox replied simply. All right, follow me, Arcadio said as he led the way to the royal chambers. Fox found himself in an incredible bedroom, but his focus was on the king-size bed with red blankets and fluffy pillows. On the bed was a pale woman that looked like Hijri, with purple bags under her eyes, her breath ragged. Can you save mother? Hijri asked with teary eyes. Fox didn't reply, he just lifted his hands, causing it to glow. Everyone stared at him with wide eyes as he hovered his glowing hands over the queen, before stopping at her chest. It's a simple poison meant to stop the heart, Fox said as he pulled out a scroll from his pouch. He unfurled it, and cut his finger with a kunai. Another hour later, she would be dead. Luckily, I have an antidote. In a puff of smoke, vials of potions appeared neatly in a row. Fox hummed before he picked up a vial with pink liquid. He opened it before he gently raised the queen's head, pouring the liquid in her mouth. She weakly drank all of it. Fox then gently lowered her head back to the pillow before resealing all the vials. A minute later, the purple bags disappeared from her eyes, her skin turned less pale and her breath was steadying. A doctor quickly started checking up on her before turning to the king with a look of astonishment. She's all right, the doctor exclaimed. The king and Hijri started crying tears of joy as everyone else cheered. Fox simply watched them as Kurama's ears twitched in annoyance. They're as loud as all those idiots back home, Kurama said as he covered his ears. Let's go home already. Before Fox could reply, the king suddenly appeared, a grateful smile on his face as he dried his tears. Thank you, Fox-san Cabo, he cried as everyone quieted down. You saved my daughter and my wife. How can I ever repay you, Cabo? Please, there's no need, Fox said, raising his hands. I was merely doing what was right. But still, is there anything we can do for you? The king asked as Hijri suddenly hugged him again. She looked at him with teary eyes. He may not be able to see it, but he could feel her puppy eyes staring at him. Well, could you keep my involvement here a secret? Fox asked, surprising everyone. I would prefer not to have my name be known to possible enemies. Well, if that is your wish, the king said with a nod. This incident will only be kept by everyone in this room, I swear to you, Fox-san. Thank you, Fox said with a respectful bow. Now if you'll excuse me, I must get back to my guild. Fox-sama, Hijri said as she stopped hugging him and removed a silver bracelet from her wrist. Please accept this as thanks. Fox was about to refuse, but Hijri was giving him the puppy eyes again. Sighing mentally, he accepted the bracelet, putting it on his left wrist. Thank you, Hijri-heim, he said, causing the girl to blush. He bowed to them before he and Kurama disappeared in the shadows. Fox of Fairy Tail, Arcadio said as he stared at the spot where Fox was standing. I didn't know Fairy Tail had such an amazing mage. That boy, he would make a fine king. Cabo, the king said with an approving nod. Fox-sama, Hijri said with a blush on her face. The next day, are you really keeping that bracelet? Kurama asked as they rode the train back to Magnolia. It was a gift from a princess. It would be rude of me not to wear it, Fox said as he looked at the silver bracelet with jades attached to it. Well, at least we got a lot of jewels for handing over those bandits, Kurama said with a nod. Oh, we're here, Fox said as the train stopped. I want some ramen, Kurama said as he hopped on Fox's head. Let's get that troublesome woman to make some. Don't call her that if you want to ask something from her, Fox said as he tapped Kurama's head, causing him to yelp. After walking through the town, Fox and Kurama were back in their usual table, ignoring the noises his guildmates were making. He was about to open a bottle of sake when he felt someone walking towards him. Do you need something, Mary-Jane-san? He asked as he faced the white-haired girl. No, I was wondering if I could talk with you, Mary-Jane said, squirming in a shy manner. Fox seemed confused by that, feeling how nervous she is. She is one of the more nervous people whenever talking to him. Her heart rate would increase and her blood would rush to her face. He worries sometimes about her health. He mentally shrugged and stood up, pulling the other chair from Mary-Jane. She blushed and sat down, smiling widely. Fox ignored all the jealous glares from the guys who liked Mary-Jane. So, what do you want to talk about, Mira-san? Fox asked. Mary-Jane smiled and just took a breath. Meanwhile, give me that book, you little tramp. An egg-shaped man with a wig and curly mustache dressed in an expensive suit exclaimed as he grabbed Lucy's arm, twisting it on her back. Lucy screamed in pain, but fought through it as she kept holding a book titled Daybreak. That book is paid for by me, so the secrets within its pages are mine. This book doesn't belong to you, Lucy exclaimed as she struggled to get free. Her eyes suddenly widened as she remembered Fox's lesson. Flashback. It's been almost a month since Lucy accepted Fox's training, and she couldn't believe how much she improved. The weights didn't bother her anymore, and when they were gone, she felt light as a feather. All that hellish training was showing results, but there was still a problem. Her hand-to-hand combat was still weak. She and Levy managed to translate the scroll, and she's been studying it, but her strikes didn't seem to be affecting Kurama, who just looked confused as she kept striking the same points in his body. Fox seemed to have noticed too, as she kept striking those parts as hard as she can. "Stop," he said, causing the two to look at him as he walked towards them. "Lucy-san, you seem to be fighting differently." "Oh, you noticed," Lucy said with a small smile. "Well, I was studying the scroll you gave me and thought it might work against Kurama." "Levy-san already translated it?" Fox said in an impressed tone. "She did it faster than I thought. I guess it's time for the next step of your training." "Eh?" Lucy said, tilting her head. "What do you remember about the scroll?" Fox asked. "Well, the fighting style is called the Gentle Fist, and it uses chakra?" she said, remembering what she read. She was confused on what chakra is, never hearing it before. "It uses chakra to neutralize the various chakra points in the pathway." "Excellent," Fox said in an approving nod. "Unfortunately, you can't use chakra." "What?" Lucy exclaimed in horror. "Then why did you give me this scroll?" "Levy-chan, and I wasted all that time for nothing." "Calm down, you blonde bimbo," Kurama said, causing Lucy to glare at him. "Lucy-san, do you know what chakra is?" Fox asked, and she shook her head. "Chakra is the combination of physical and spiritual energies. It is the life force of everyone where I used to live in. If I use too much of it, I will die." "What?" Lucy said, shocked. "Then why are you using it?" "That's how I was trained," Fox calmly explained. "Like how you were trained using magic." "Magic?" Lucy asked. "You see, chakra and magic are very similar," Fox said as he pulled out a piece of blank paper and his brush. Lucy watched as he drew a body shape with small circles and lines connecting in the body. "Like how Kurama and I have a chakra pathway, you and everyone have a magic pathway." "Wow," Lucy said as she stared at her hands, as if trying to see the pathway. "But what does that have to do with the Gentle Fist?" "You can fully utilize the Gentle Fist if you add magic into your strikes," Fox explained. "You see, the purpose of the Gentle Fist is to damage the enemy on the inside. For example, if I strike an enemy right here," he pointed at where the heart is, "I can reduce the flow of magic, weakening him." "Amazing," Lucy said before looking at Fox. "Can you show me?" "Sure," Fox said before he turned to Kurama, who paled. "Come here, Kurama." "Hell no!" Kurama exclaimed as he backed away from the two. "You stay away from me, you sadistic asshole." Fox simply smirked behind his mask before he disappeared in a blur, surprising Lucy. Suddenly, there was a howl of pain, causing Lucy to look at Kurama, who was clutching his right arm, tears of pain appearing in his eyes as he glared at Fox, whose pointer finger was covered in what looks like blue fire. "You see?" Fox asked as he turned to a confused Lucy. "I hit Kurama's chakra point in his arm, rendering it useless." "But how?" Lucy asked. Fox said, thinking of an example. "Imagine I was trying to block a flowing river. I used a big rock to stop it from flowing. My chakra acts like the rock, blocking the pathway." "Cool," Lucy said with starry eyes. "Is this how you were trained, Fox-kun?" "No, I was trained differently," Fox replied. "But I did know some people who used the Gentle Fist, so I have some knowledge about it." "But wait, how can Kurama use chakra?" Lucy asked, staring at the boy as he rubbed his arm, trying to get the feeling back to it. "When he hatched, his magical reserves were dangerously empty," Fox replied, shocking Lucy. "In order to save him, I had to transfer some of my chakra to his body. Now, he is a chakra user like me." He then clapped his hands, as if ending the conversation. "Now then, let us focus on you utilizing your magic," Fox said. Flashback end. "Just like how Fox-kun taught me," Lucy said as she looked at her free arm. "Focus!" Suddenly, a faint, white aura covered her fingers. Faster than the eye could see, she strikes the Eggman on his wrist, causing him to scream in pain, releasing Lucy. "You ugly bitch!" he exclaimed in anger, holding his wrist. "My wrist! I can't feel my wrist." "Just his wrist?" Lucy said, frowning a little. "When Fox did it, all he needed was one finger to paralyze Kurama's whole arm. I need to train harder." "Give it up, you fat duke!" Lucy exclaimed as she pulled out one of her keys. "The tides have turned. If you give up, I might forgive you." "A celestial spirit mage, eh?" The Duke laughed. "You are a fan of great literature, yet you use that phrase wrong. The tides only turn if I am at a disadvantage, but you cannot defeat my diving magic. You won't be luck the next time." He then dove to the ground as if it was water. Lucy was on full alert as she did the basic stance of the Gentle Fist. "You know, I was surprised by Kima's alien." The Duke's voice echoed in the room. "To think that a man who was praised as a great writer would create such trash." "This isn't trash," Lucy exclaimed, hugging the book. "This is his greatest work." "But he only wrote it because you threatened him." "Threatened?" Happy whispered as he flew through the room, watching as Lucy kept dodging the Duke's attacks. "But that isn't what Kima's alien wanted to write in this book. The truth is something else." Lucy continued as she raised the book. "Come on, you fat weirdo. Take the bait." "What is it?" Duke exclaimed in rage as Lucy simply stuck her tongue out. What is the secret? I won't give this book to you, Lucy exclaimed as she put the book in her belt. You have no right to possess it, Lucy Happy said as Lucy did an unfamiliar pose. You might want to call one of your spirits, since you're kinda weak. You're kinda weak, Lucy said in annoyance. No! The Duke exclaimed as he panicked. If that book holds all of my illegal activity, and if the Magic Council finds out, I'll be ruined. He suddenly pulled out a gold key, surprising both girl and cat. Open the door of the Virgin, Virgo. No way! Lucy exclaimed in shock as a gorilla-looking woman appeared out of thin air. She's a celestial spirit, Natsu! Happy exclaimed with wide eyes. Blinking, Lucy looked and saw Natsu holding on to the maid's shirt. The Duke was shocked at Natsu's suddenly kicked his mage on the head, sending her to the ground. He didn't see Lucy running in front of him at frightening speed. Her palm was coated in white aura as she thrust her palm to his chest. Shoti! She exclaimed as she hit him on the chest. His eyes bulged out of his head as blood flew out of his mouth. Take that, you weirdo! Wow! Happy exclaimed in shock. That was so surprising, seeing how frail and weak you are. What was that? Lucy exclaimed as she chased after Happy, who flew away from her. That was awesome, Lucy! Natsu exclaimed. I didn't know you were so strong. Fight me! No way! Fairy Tale Guild. Behind his headband, Fox's eyes were twitching rapidly. It's been almost 5 hours since Mira Jane asked to have a talk with him. The white-haired beauty kept talking about the guild and all the members, barely taking a breather. He admitted that it was impressive the first hour, but after that, it got tedious. Kurama was sleeping on his head, having stopped listening after 30 minutes. Fox would have dozed off too, but he didn't want to be rude. And because Mira Jane would sometimes ask him questions to see if he was listening, and there was a hint of murderous intent behind her cute pout, as expected of the former demon of Fairy Tale. Thank you for the talk, Fox-san, Mira Jane said after talking about Wakaba being inconsiderate to his guildmates, smiling at him. I'm sorry if I bored you out of your mind. It's fine, Mira Jane-san, Fox said as he shook his head. The conversation was informative. Well, I hope we can talk again, if you don't mind, Mira Jane said in a hopeful tone. Originally, she wanted to talk about him, to finally get to him, but she grew nervous, and when she was nervous, all she could do was talk about things she knows. But still, despite not knowing about Fox, she at least managed to get out more than one sentence out of her mouth. Fox simply nodded, showing that he didn't mind. Mira Jane had a big smile that simply lighted out the entire guild. She then quickly walked to the kitchen, probably to do her barmaid duties. Man, that was one long talk, Kurama said as he woke up, running his eyes. To think she can talk for so long. It was refreshing to hear her talk at all, Fox said, remembering how the woman barely get a sentence out of her mouth when facing him. And I learn a lot about the other, so it was a win-win. Maybe she wouldn't be so nervous if you weren't dressed like that, Kurama said. Wear clothes like a normal person. I'm not normal, Fox said to Kurama. Suddenly, 2 bowls of steaming ramen appeared in front of them. Surprised, Fox looked and saw a smiling Mira Jane, the tray behind her. This is just a thank you for the talk, she said with a light hue on her cheeks. Thank you, but you didn't need to dash, Fox said before he stopped as Mira Jane pressed her fingers against his lips. His eyes widened, since this was the first time in a long while that a female touched him. None of that, Fox-san, she said with a pouting face. This is my way of thank you. Besides, Kurama-san is enjoying it. Fox turned and saw his furry partner eating his share of ramen with gusto. He sweat dropped before looking back at Mira Jane, still looking at him with that cute pout on her face. Thank you, Mira Jane-san, Fox said as he picked up his chopsticks, turning to his meal. His hand then slowly made its way to his face mask. Everyone suddenly quieted down as they stared at him in anticipation. Sweat rolled from their heads as their eyes focused on him until they were bloodshot. Mira Jane just stood there, gulping nervously as Fox's fingers touched the mask. He lightly gripped the fabric and was about to pull it down. We're back. The door slammed open, causing a lot of them to jump in shock as they turned to the door, seeing Natsu, Happy and Lucy walking in the guild. Their eyes then widened as they realized what they were missing. They turned back so quickly that their necks nearly snapped. They then saw Fox removing his hand from his mask, the ramen bowl empty. It was very delicious, Mira Jane-san, thank you again, he said as he put his chopsticks down. So fast. Everyone exclaimed, some had their eyes bugging out of their heads. Stupid coals for brain. Gray exclaimed as he threw his chair at Natsu, sending him flying. Look at what you did, what was that for, stripper? Natsu exclaimed as fire erupted from his mouth, charging at Gray. Lucy sighed as the two's fight caused another brawl in the guild. She looked at it before smiling lightly. She looked around the guild and saw Fox and Kurama on their usual table. She walked towards them, skillfully dodging the chairs, tables and bottles thrown around the place. Fox-kun! Kurama! She greeted happily. Greetings, Lucy-san, Fox said as Kurama raised his paw. Are you done with your mission? Yup, she said happily. Though that happiness died when Fox formed a dreadfully familiar hand sign. Phew! He said as her wrists and ankles glowed. Lucy then found herself feeling heavier than the last time, going on all fours. What was that for? She exclaimed as she struggled to get up. Hey, they feel heavier. You were getting too used to your current weights that I have to make them heavier, Fox explained as he pulled out a chair for Lucy, which she took. Whenever you're not on a mission, you need to keep those weights on. But I will deactivate them when you're on a mission. Oh, is that why you deactivated them? She asked, remembering that the day before leaving, Fox deactivated those seals. During a mission, you must be fully prepared for everything, Fox said. In a mission, you must always expect the unexpected, or else it will cause you greatly. Lucy hummed as she thought about it. She was surprised when the Duke turned out to be a celestial spirit mage. Thankfully, she was more shocked when Natsu appeared with her from the celestial spirit world. Well then, I shall see you tomorrow at 7 a.m., he said as he was about to stand up. Actually, Lucy said, causing him to stop and turn to her. I was wondering if I could talk to you about the mission. Fox blinked before he turned to Kurama, who just shrugged and sat on his head, closing his eyes again. Seeing no harm in it, Fox simply nodded and sat back down, causing the girl to smile before taking a deep breath. Later, Fox learned something today. He learned that women can talk for hours without end. His eye was twitching again as Lucy was telling her about her fight with the Duke, a proud smile on her face. She spent the last 3 hours about the mission, which surprised Fox since he could summarize the whole story to 5 minutes. In a mission, all that matters are the objective, the possible enemies and the results. But Lucy seemed to be telling about every single detail, from her buying a maid outfit, to being rejected because the Duke preferred misshapen girls, to reading the book, etc. He mentally sighed, but feeling her smiling face, he guessed it wasn't so bad. And then we just went home without getting paid, Lucy finished with a slight frown. Truth be told, the ones who requested the mission weren't really rich, they were just pretending to be, so she didn't mind. But still, all that hard work and nothing. So how do you think I do? She was waiting nervously for his opinion. Honestly, she wanted his opinion more than others. After all, she was strong because of him. It was adequate, he said, causing Lucy's face to hit the table, not expecting that. What do you mean adequate? Lucy exclaimed. I kicked that weirdo's ass on my own. And that's why it's adequate, Fox said, causing Lucy to look confused. You did well, beating the Duke on your own, and that means you are improving. But all the strongest mages are in teams. But Fox-kun, you always do missions on your own, Lucy said, causing Fox to give a small chuckle. He laughed again. I don't believe it. This must be a dream. Lucy's sweat dropped as she looked at the nosy mages. I do have a partner, Fox said as he petted Kurama, causing the orange cat to purr. Lucy was surprised to see the narcissistic cat like that. I trust Kurama with my life during a mission, and he trusts me. Lucy lightly smiled at the scene. It felt nice to see the two being like this. It shows that Fox wasn't as cold as people thought he was. Which is why tomorrow, you will start training with your spirits, Fox said, causing Lucy to grin widely. All right. Lucy cheered. Finally she can show off what she's made of. Suddenly, a small box was in front of her. Blinking, she looked at Fox. What's this? I was going to give it to you tomorrow, Fox said. But think of it as a reward for completing your mission. Lucy picked up the package and opened it. Her eyes widened as she saw that it was a pair of pink glasses with elongated lenses with mildly large frames with small wings on the edge with a heart-shaped ornament on it. Lucy squealed happily as she hugged the glasses to her chest, jumping up and down like an excited kid, getting everyone's attention. Fox nodded, sensing her elation. I'm glad you like THGA, he said before he was interrupted as Lucy suddenly tackled him to a hug, pressing her breasts on his face. The two fell to the ground as Lucy tightened her hug, unaware that he was suffocating. Thank you, thank you, thank you, she exclaimed as Fox waved his arms, trying to get free. Everyone watched as he slowly stopped moving, his fingers twitching. What a way to go, most of the male mages thought, blood leaking from their noses. Hey, Blondie! Kurama called, getting Lucy's attention. Your big breasts are suffocating him. She blinked before looking down. Sure enough, Fox was twitching on the ground, losing consciousness. She quickly stood up, allowing him to breathe. I'm so sorry, she exclaimed, bowing repeatedly as Fox shakily stood up. She blinked as she noticed something. His face mask was drenched in red liquid. She blinked before she smiled slyly. Fox-kun, you enjoyed that, didn't you? He simply turned his head away as he used the seal to clean his mask. Lucy simply smiled, pride blooming in her chest. She was happy that she got a reaction like that, especially to someone like Fox. Anyways, he said, his mask clean from nose blood. I'm glad you like them. Like them? I love them, she said with a big smile. But how did you know? Whenever you invite me over, the magazines you read are always dog-eared about these pair of Gale Force reading glasses, Fox explained to her. So, I asked a few people to get me one of these. But these are expensive, Lucy exclaimed, since she's been saving to buy these pair. I can't accept them. You worked hard, Lucy-san, Fox said. You deserve them. Lucy blushed from that, feeling happy. And I made a few modifications on them, he explained further, causing Lucy to look at them. I added some seals to make sure they react to your unique magic signature, and they are unbreakable. I also added another extra feature. Put them on and apply some magic to it. Blinking, Lucy put the glasses on and did what he said. Her eyes widened as everything turned darker. She then saw something that looked like veins connected by glowing dots in everyone's bodies. Her eyes widened even more as she realized that these are magic pathways Fox taught her about. She also noticed that while everyone's pathways were white, Fox's and Kurama's were blue with a hint of red. Awesome, she said as she looked around, seeing that some magic reserves were bigger than others. This is so cool. Since you almost mastered the basic of the gentle fist, this will help you fully utilize the style, Fox explained as Lucy removed her glasses. Though you'll tire yourself quickly if you use those glasses too much, so use them when necessary. Thank you, Fox-kun, she said with a smile. Like I said, you earned them, Fox said, a small smile behind his mask. Lucy blushed again before she saw something. She suddenly smiled widely as she saw her new friends. Hey! Levi-chan! She exclaimed, getting the blue girl's attention. She smiled as she saw Lucy, but grew nervous when she saw Fox. Levi took a deep breath to calm herself down. She told herself she would befriend Fox, and she will. With a smile and a determined look, she, Jet and Droy walked towards them. Hey, Lucy-chan! She greeted happily before turning to Fox and Kurama. Hello, Fox-san, Kurama-san. Yo, Kurama said as he waved lazily. Hello, Levi-san, Jet-san, Planthead-san, Fox greeted politely. It's nice to see you. The duo looked surprised by his greeting while Droy looked depressed. Planthead? He muttered as he touched his hairstyle. Jet can't help but chuckle at his friend's predicament, while the two girls giggled. How was the mission, Lucy-chan? Levi asked, turning to the blonde. It was great, Lucy said with a grin. But we didn't accept the reward money though. Really? Levi said, surprised. But that was such a huge reward. Well, my teammate's a blockhead, Lucy said before smiling a little. But it just didn't feel right, taking the reward after knowing the truth. Levi looked at his friend before nodding, understanding a bit. So, how did the mission go? Levi asked and Lucy's eyes brightened as she told her friend the mission, offering them a seat. This time she made it short, at least 20 minutes. Wow, Levi said with amazement in her eyes once Lucy finished the story. You're amazing, Lucy-chan. I didn't celestial spirit mages are so strong. Well, I wouldn't be strong if it wasn't for Fox-kun, Lucy said shyly as she gestured at Fox, who was drinking sake. He taught me how to fight. But I don't get it, Droy said as he looked at Fox with disbelief. No offense, Fox, but you're a C-class mage. How did you make Lucy so strong, Droy? Levi said as she elbowed the guy before turning to Fox. I'm sorry about that, but I do agree with him, Jet said, also confused. He grunted when Levi elbowed him too. Oh. Sorry. It's alright, Fox said as he waved his hand, not really insulted. By the way, Fox-san, Levi said as she turned to him. Lucy-chan told me that you lent her an incredible book. Fox turned to face Lucy, who gave a sheepish chuckle before turning back to Levi, who was looking at him hopefully. Well, I didn't really tell her to keep it a secret, he thought before nodding at Levi. Yes, I lent her my book. Well, Lucy-chan told me that it was a really great book, Levi said nervously as she pressed her pointer fingers together. And I was wondering if you could let me borrow it, please. Fox sweat dropped as he could feel Levi looking at him with adorable puppy eyes, pouting cutely. Once again, he could feel his will weakening against that dangerous attack. You can, he relented, causing to Levi to suddenly grab his hand, shaking it. Thank you, Fox-san, she exclaimed happily. Lucy smiled as her two friends slowly get along. She then walked towards Levi. See, Levi-chan, Lucy said as she went to pat the girl on the back. I told you Fox-kun is a Nick Dash. She stopped when she accidentally pushed Levi into Fox, unaware of her own strength. The two fell to the ground, causing dust to explode. Levi-chan! Lucy, Jet and Droy exclaimed in worry as the dust settled. Everyone's eyes suddenly widened at the scene in front of them. Levi was straddling Fox's waist as Fox's hands rested on her hips. Levi's lips were then firmly pressed on Fox's mask, her eyes wide with shock. Wah! She exclaimed as she quickly stood up and started bowing in apology. I'm so sorry. Fox didn't say anything as he lied there, completely shocked. He felt a sense of déjà vu, remembering something like this happening years ago. Bwahahahaha. Kurama laughed as he fell to the ground, holding his gut. Ha! Makarov laughed, sitting on the bar. Fox, I didn't know you were such a sly dog. FOX. Two angry voices exclaimed, getting his attention. He sat up and saw Jet and Droy glaring at him in anger and jealousy. How dare you take advantage of Levi-chan? Jet exclaimed. Yeah. Droy agreed, cracking his knuckles. We're going to teach you a lesson. Yup, it was really familiar. Kurama, he called, getting his partner's attention. Escape plan, Gamma Alpha 7. Kurama nodded before he pulled something from his small pouch. He pulled out a fish 3 times his size. Catch! He exclaimed as he threw the fish to Jet and Droy, who caught it without thinking. Hey Happy! These guys have a big fish, and they don't want to share. Roar! A voice exclaimed, causing the two to look and saw Happy flying towards them, claws sharp and a crazy glint in his eyes as drool spilled from his mouth. Jet and Dre tried to drop the fish, but it was glued to their hands. They screamed when Happy hit them, causing a dust cloud of pain and tangled limbs. Give me that fish! Happy, stop! Not the face, please! Most of them laughed at the funny scene, not noticing Fox and Kurama disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Makarov simply smirked, lighting up his pipe. It seems you're starting to open up, Naruto, he muttered to himself before looking his guild. Lucy frowned a little as she stared at a blushing Levy, who seemed to be in a daze as she touched her lips. Lucy wasn't the only one frowning. Mary Jane was feeling jealous, an angry aura covering her form with a lifeless smile on her face. Even though it was an accident and the mask covered his lips, it was still a kiss. Kana was feeling the same as she frowned and started drowning her jealousy with a few more barrels of alcohol. This could be interesting, Makarov said calmly. Chapter 4, Lullaby. Pervy old man, Fox muttered as he looked out the window of the train, watching as they passed valleys and hills. Bothering me for that smut. Well, it's your fault for publishing that series, Kurama said, lying on his head. I was joking about that, Fox said as he remembered giving the old man the orange-covered book. The old man was crying tears of joy as he read, and Fox said, in a sarcastic manner, to have it published, to share the joy with other perverts. He didn't think the old man would take it seriously and made it Fox's mission to publish the rest of Jiraiya's books. He wondered when and how the old perverted sage put those scrolls full of smuts in his pouch and jumpsuit pockets. Even his drafts were there. He wondered if Jiraiya tried corrupting him into a pervert. He sighed before standing up. He felt nature calling, so he walked out his room. In another train car, Lucy sighed as she was part of a team of Natsu, Happy, Gray and Fairy Tail's strongest female mage, Titania Urza Scarlet, a beautiful woman with red hair and brown eyes, wearing a blue skirt and a Heart Crew's custom-made armor, black boots and diamond-shaped silver earrings. She met her yesterday, astounded that she was carrying a decorated monster horn 10 times her size with ease as she entered the guild, and even more astounded when everyone, even Natsu, behaved and listened as she scolded the entire guild. But the shock didn't stop. Everyone dropped their jaws when Urza asked the assistance of both Gray and Natsu, causing Mira to call them the strongest team. The only reason she came was because Mira asked her to. And after hearing about their mission, she was worried. Apparently, a dark guild called Eisenwald obtained a sealed magic called Lullaby, and it was their job to stop them and get Lullaby. And so here she is, sitting next to Gray and Happy since Natsu was resting on Urza's lap, having been punched to the gut to knock him out cold, heading to a town called Onibus. When she looked up, she was surprised to see a familiar person. Fox-kun? She said in surprise, causing Gray, Urza and Happy to look up as well. Fox heard her and turned to her direction. He stopped and bowed in greeting. Hello, Lucy-san, Gray-san and Happy-san, he said before turning to Urza. And Urza-san, I didn't know you're back. Greetings, Fox-san, Urza said with a nod to their mysterious mage. Are you here on a mission? More like an errand for the old man, Fox said, causing Urza to nod. Are you on a mission? Yes, Urza said as she gestured at the others. I've asked help from Natsu and Gray, and Lucy volunteered. I heard she did amazingly well against the gorilla woman from her last mission. Lucy's sweat dropped from the exaggerated rumor about her last mission with Natsu. She suddenly saw the seals on her wrists light up, surprising her. She suddenly felt lighter. She turned to Fox, who lowered his hand. She shot him a grateful look before scooting a little. She patted the sit next to her, causing him to nod and sit down. They didn't see Urza's eyebrow arching from the glow, and the hand sign. It must be a serious mission if you asked for help, Fox commented to Urza. Usually, you do things on your own, and because everyone's afraid of you, Kurama said from Fox's head. These two were probably too scared to say no. The mission involves taking down a dark guild, Lucy quickly said as she saw a tick mark on Urza's head. A dark guild? Fox said as he turned to Urza, who nodded. The redhead then explained the mission to Fox, which involves Eisenwald, a sealed magic called Lullaby and Onibus Town. After she finished, Fox was humming, thinking about something. Would you like my assistance, Urza-san? Gray, Happy and Urza were surprised that he would offer while Lucy looked relieved. She could breathe easily knowing that Fox was there. Why are you offering, Fox-san? Urza asked, hoping that she didn't sound rude. Facing against a dark guild could be dangerous, Fox replied. You and everyone are strong, but you can't be too careful against them. You are my comrades, I wish to help. Lucy blushed and smiled happily when he said that. Urza and Gray looked at him before smiling as well. Thank you, Fox-san, Urza said. But I will decline. We are enough for this mission. Very well then, Fox said before standing up and bowed. I wish all of you luck on your mission. He then walked towards the restroom, exiting the cart. Lucy watched him go before looking at Urza. Why didn't you accept his offer? She asked, now feeling nervous. He could really help us in this mission. Look, Fox-san is one of our more professional mages, which is impressive, given his age, Urza said as she looked down. But this mission is beyond him. Why? Lucy asked with a frown. Because he'll only slow us down, Gray said, causing Lucy to frown at him. Fox is a C-class mage, and we'll spend the entire time worrying about him. But Fox-kun isn't going to slow us down, Lucy exclaimed heatedly. I've been trying to win against him when we're sparring. Her three companions looked at her in shock as she slowly registered what she said. A second later she closed her mouth with both hands, but it was too late. You've been sparring with him, Gray exclaimed in shock. He heard the rumors that Fox was training the new girl, but he thought they were just rumors. So he's really training you? No, she said lamely, hoping they would believe it. Lucy, Urza said in a menacing way, her aura flowing out of her body. Lucy paled and sweated as Gray and Happy scooted away from her. Please explain. Well, Lucy said with a defeated sigh. Fox-kun has been training me for months now. He had me sparring with Kurama and I haven't beaten him once, even with my celestial spirits. Gray and Happy looked at him before they laughed, tears flowing out of their eyes. Lucy growled at them, her face red with both anger and humiliation. You've been losing to Kurama. Gray exclaimed through the laughter. That means you're weaker than me. Happy exclaimed. Shut up. Lucy exclaimed. Kurama was trained by Fox-kun, so that's why he's strong. You say that Kurama's been beating you, even with your spirits? Urza said, causing the laughter to stop. Lucy nodded. Even with your golden keys you couldn't beat him? Yes, Lucy said with a nod. That's why I know Fox-kun is strong. He just doesn't want to show it. The train suddenly stopped, and the four started walking away, forgetting a certain pink-haired flamethrower. Urza was silently thinking about what Lucy said. Was Fox really that strong? She didn't really know. In fact, nobody knows much about Fox. Only the master knew a little about Fox. If he was really strong, then why was he hiding his strength? This is giving me a headache, Gray said, rubbing his head. I just can't picture Fox as strong. It's so weird. Well, Mira-san and Lasana-san thinks Fox-kun is strong, Lucy said. I always thought Mira-Jane was joking, Gray said as he thought about it. Every time one of their members were saying that Fox wasn't strong, she would tell them otherwise. Well, Fox is good at dodging, Happy added as he walked beside Lucy. Now that you say that, Gray said, as he remembered that through the many guild fights they have, he could somewhat remember Fox calmly walking through the chaos, without getting hit once. We don't really know much about Fox-san, Urza said, remembering how everyone acted around Fox, feeling uncomfortable and nervous. We don't know what he looks like, what his real name is, what magic he used. Only Master Makarov knows about him, and he trusts Fox, so we should trust him as well. Lucy and Gray saw the resolve in her eyes, causing them to smile. Despite being so antisocial, Fox was still a member of Fairy Tail. Besides, he called us his comrades, Gray said with a grin. So, he's our comrade as well. Yeah, Lucy said as Urza nodded, both smiling. Guys. Happy said worriedly as he looked around. I think we forgot one of our comrades. Everyone paused before their eyes widened and looked at the moving train. Natsu. Back in the train, Fox was walking back to his cart from the restroom, before he felt something. He and Kurama tensed as they silently made their way to the cart where Lucy and the others were. Ha! A man laughed as he kicked Natsu to the ground. He was a lanky man who had a familiar, black hair styled like a spiky ponytail, dressed in black pants and gray jacket with a white undershirt. To think you fairy trashes are so weak, Natsu didn't reply. He was busy trying not to throw up. Just as the man was about to kick him again, someone kicked him on his back, sending him crashing towards the ground. Natsu weakly looked up and saw Fox, surprising him. You really need to fix this problem of yours, Natsu-san, Fox said as he picked up Natsu and walked towards the door. What are you doing? Natsu asked as Fox opened the door. Close your mouth and keep your elbows tucked in, Fox said before throwing Natsu off the train, causing him to scream, flailing his arms wildly. Who are you? The man exclaimed before seeing the symbol on the headband. What? Another fairy trash? Ha! It seems like you shitheads want to get your ass kicked. You are from Eisenwald? Fox guessed as he felt something dangerous on the man. Lucky guess, the man said with a grin. But since you know, I guess I have to kill you. He went to grab the dangerous object from his coat, and that's when Kurama charged from below him, surprising the man. He grabbed the object from the man's hand before flying back to Fox, handing him the object and landing on his head. Fox used his senses and felt that it was a flute, with a carved skull on it. He could feel it reek with dark magic. This must be Lullaby, and it feels unsealed, he said as he slipped the object in his cloak. I'll just keep this here, for safekeeping. Bastard! The man exclaimed as his shadow started moving. Give that back. Shadow Knuckle! He threw his fist and a lot of shadow fists popped from the ground and flew towards the two, only for them to suddenly disappear. What the hell? He said before feeling someone tap his shoulder. He turned and his face was hit by what felt like a steel cannon. He flew towards the other end, causing a hole. The man slowly sat up, rubbing his face. He looked and saw Fox with his left fist up. What the hell is your fist made of? Flesh, bones, muscles, blood, nerves, Fox replied as he walked towards the man. Now you will tell me everything you can dash. He stopped as he felt something behind him. Acting quickly, he backflipped to the air, dodging a blade of wind that cut through the cart, causing the roof to be blown away. Fox turned and saw a tall man with silver hair that was pointing upwards and hanging on his left face, dressed a ragged skirt with a black skirt over it, tied by a white sash, bandages on his arms and black gloves and wooden sandals. He also had tattoos on his chest and biceps, and a few on his face. And resting on his shoulder was a sharp scythe. I was wondering why you're late, Kageyama, the man said as Kageyama paled in fear. To think you would be held back by some fairy trash. Erigor-san, Kageyama said in a fearful tone. Erigor? The Grim Reaper of Eisenwald? Fox asked as the wind fluttered his cloak. I'm so honored you've know of me, Aragorn said with a smirk. But sorry to say, I don't know who you are. And you never will, Fox said before quickly turning to face Kageyama. Shadow Grace, Black Vortex. Kageyama screamed as he saw Fox's shadow suddenly stretched until it reached him, and he started sinking to it. He tried to escape, to use his own magic, but he couldn't, much to his shock. Fox then quickly jumped to the side of the train as Kurama held on to his back, jumping off the train. Aragorn cursed before he swung his scythe, sending a cyclone towards Fox. Wings then sprouted from Kurama's back and flew away before the cyclone could hit them. Aragorn screamed as the train went to the other direction. You know, you could have easily taken that bastard down, Kurama said as he decreased his speed a little. I could, but then those people on the train would get hurt if I did fight him, Fox replied before he sensed Urza and the others coming towards their direction at high speed. Luckily, he placed some shadow clones that was evacuating the people as soon as he felt the fighting. You see them? Yup, Kurama said before going down. Lucy, Gray and Happy screamed as Urza drove the self-energy plug vehicle, with Natsu groaning on the ground. After Natsu reunited with them, he told them what happened. Urza was mad at him for not listening about their mission, even though it was her fault, and was worried for Fox. She suddenly looked up and saw Fox and Kurama flying towards them. He easily landed on the roof and grabbed a kunai. He slashed the roof like it was butter, creating a hole that surprised them. Fox-kun, Lucy said in a happy tone. You're all right. Keep following that train, Fox exclaimed through the rushing wind as he got in the car. Aragorn is in there. What? Urza exclaimed before she increased the speed of the car. He fought Aragorn? And there wasn't a scratch on him. What happened? Gray asked as he looked at Fox. I was walking back to my seat when I saw Natsu getting kicked around by a mage from Eisenwald, Fox said, causing Gray to chuckle at Natsu, who groaned angrily at him. And then Aragorn came and tried to kill me, but I managed to get away. I also managed to get the lullaby. Really? That's great. Lucy cheered as Fox reached into his cloak. He lifted his head when he couldn't grab the lullaby. He looked at the pocket and saw a clean-cut hole on it. When? Fox thought before remembering the cyclone. It probably cut through his cloak without him noticing. Sneaky bastard. Well, you did well against Aragorn, Urza said as they kept driving. Fox turned to her, feeling her magic rapidly depleting. He reached into his cloak and handed it to her. She looked surprised as she stared at the black pill. What is this? Eat it, Fox said before shoving the thing in her mouth and making her swallow it. What are you doing? Urza exclaimed angrily, only to stop when she felt her magic recovering. What was that? It's an energy pill, Kurama explained. The SCP car is draining you too much, so Fox gave you one to replenish your energy. You're going to need it. Thank you, Urza said before she increased the speed. Now let's go and stop Aragorn. Where did you get that pill thing? Gray asked in a curious tone. I made it, Fox said. Didn't know you can make something like that, Gray commented. By the way, that lullaby thing gave me the willies, Kurama said. What did it look like? Lucy asked. A flute with a three-eyed skull on it, Kurama explained. What was that? Urza exclaimed with wide eyes. If that's lullaby then this is bad. Why, what's so bad about the flute? Gray asked. That flute is a dangerous artifact, Fox explained calmly. It's said that its music can put anyone in a permanent sleep. No way, Lucy said as Gray and Happy looked shocked. A few minutes later, they arrived at the station. They quickly jumped out of the vehicle and into the station, where a lot of unconscious people lying on the ground. Damn that bastard, Urza said as she looked at them. He's trying to use lullaby in the station. The speakers will spread the music throughout the town. That's horrible. Lucy exclaimed. We have to stop him. Natsu exclaimed. You go on ahead, Fox said, surprising them. I have something to do. Without warning, his shadow suddenly spat someone out. It was an unconscious Kageyama. Hey, that's the guy that kicked me. Natsu exclaimed, causing Gray to snicker. Shut up. I'll ask him a few questions, regarding lullaby, Fox said as he handed a paper with a seal to Urza. I'll contact you with that, so don't lose it. Everyone looked at the paper in confusion before they watched Fox pull out 2 green tubes and handed them to Kurama, who grinned as he removed the caps and placed them on Kageyama's nostrils, squirting a pale green paste. Kageyama's eyes suddenly bulged out of his head as fire erupted from his mouth, screaming in pain. What was that? Lucy asked as Kageyama started coughing uncontrollably. Wasabi, Fox and Kurama said in unison as the cat hopped back on Fox's head. Everyone's sweat dropped at that reply. What the hell? Kageyama exclaimed as he kept coughing before he looked up. You bastard! Shadow Grace, Shadow Strangle, Fox said as his shadows moved forward towards Kageyama like little snakes, wrapping around his legs, arms and torso. What is that? Natsu asked in surprise. So that's his magic? Controlling shadows? Gray commented. Let's go, Kageyama-san, Fox said as he dragged the man towards a closet. I just want to ask some questions. Let me go, trash! Kageyama exclaimed before entering the closet. A few seconds later. Hey, what are you going to do with that? No, stop. Someone help me. Help me. Ayag. Everyone looked at the closet, which was filled with screams of pain, begging for mercy. Let's go, Urza said, not shaken at what she just witnessed. Fox is scary, Happy commented as they followed Urza. I feel sorry for you, Lucy, Gray said. Shut up, Lucy said, though she was sweating a little. What are you guys talking about? Natsu asked. Oh yeah, you were sleeping that time, Happy said. Fox is training Lucy. Whoa, really? Natsu said, shocked. Is that why you can fight so well? Well yeah, awesome. I wanna fight Fox, Natsu declared as he laughed. They then found themselves in a big room, and saw a lot of thug-looking mages waiting for them. Look here, it's the fairy trashes. Look, 2 of them are hotties. Let's kill the other 2 and have fun with the ladies. Good idea. Urza simply summoned a sword before charging. A group of Eisenwald mages charged at her, their hands moving in a perverted manner. She then swung her sword, and the group easily fallen, surprising Lucy and the Eisenwald mages. Natsu! Gray! Go and find Erigar! She exclaimed, getting the other 2's attention. Lucy, Happy and I will handle this. What? The 2 exclaimed. Do it! Urza exclaimed with a menacing glare. Let's go, Natsu-kun! Gray said with a forced smile. Aye. Natsu also said with a forced smile. The 2 then run to the stairs, punching anyone who got in their way. Hey, are we really fighting all of them by ourselves? Lucy exclaimed as Happy flew to safety. Hey, get back here! But I'm too small and cute to fight, Happy said. Good luck, useless cat! Lucy exclaimed, before she did the gentle fist stance. We should have taken Kurama with us. Requip! Urza exclaimed as light covered her body. Suddenly, her clothes disappeared, causing the men to yell excitedly. Their excitement died when she was now wearing silver armor that consists of a breastplate composed of feather-shaped plates that formed a flower, her biceps covered by metal straps, her arms covered by feathered gauntlets, a metal skirt shaped like wings, with wing boots, and on her back were metal wings. Flying behind her were 10 swords. Heaven's wheel armor! She declared as 10 swords floated behind her, which started flying towards the screaming mages. Wait, I know who she is! One of them exclaimed in fear. She's Titania! She's so cool! Lucy exclaimed with starry eyes. This one looks weak. A mage behind her exclaimed as he went to attack her. Suddenly she grabbed his arm and slammed him to the ground, knocking him out. I may look cute, but I'm not weak, Lucy said as she pulled out a key. Well, it's time for me to show off. Geez, Lucy, don't go and steal Urza's spotlight, Happy said from the ceiling. Shut up! Lucy exclaimed before she raised the key in front of her. Open the door of the crab, Cancer. In a flash of light, a tan man with shades with his hair shaped like crab legs, dressed in a blue polo shirt and green pants appeared, holding scissors on both hands. A crab! Happy exclaimed excitedly. You get excited way too easily, Lucy commented with a sweat drop. What do you need, Ebby? Cancer said as he twirled his scissors. Ebby! Happy exclaimed in shock before he became depressed. Take him back, Lucy, we're going to lose. Quiet you, Lucy said before standing beside Cancer, surprising him. Well then, let's get them, Cancer. Cancer looked at Lucy, before smiling. I thought Taurus was kidding when he said you were training. Guess he wasn't, Ebby. You've changed, Lucy-sama, Ebby. Well, I wanted to be someone you guys can rely on, Lucy said with a grin. Now let's take care of these perverts. She and Cancer charged to the mages, who ran towards her rather than facing Urza. Get her! That was very impressive, Lucy-san, Urza said as she walked towards Lucy and Happy flew back towards them. Maybe Fox-san is strong if he could train you to be like this. You're embarrassing me, Urza-san, Lucy said in a bashful manner. Will you spar with me sometimes? Urza asked. Hell no! Lucy exclaimed. She may have gotten stronger, but there was no way she can spar with Urza. Urza looked at herself. If it wasn't for Fox's pill, she would be on her knees, magically exhausted. Let's go and help Natsu and Gray look for Erigor, she said, turning to Lucy and Happy. You go look for Natsu, I'll look for Gray. Knowing those 2, they separated. Happy exclaimed as he and Lucy run off. Urza watched them go before the paper Fox gave her lighted up. Urza-san? It said, causing Urza to jump in surprise. Can you hear me, Fox-san? Urza said as she grabbed the paper, looking at it curiously. Urza-san, get the others out of there, Fox said, causing Urza to look confused. It's a trap. Erigor's true target isn't this city. He's targeting the guild masters meeting today. What? Urza exclaimed. If that was true, then the reason Erigor led them here was to trap them. I told the others to split up. You try and get out of here before it's too late, Fox said. We'll go and get the others. The light died from the symbols as Urza looked at it. She then started running towards the exit as fast as she can. Meanwhile, Gray was running back to the group as fast as he can, his shirt gone. He fought one of Eisenwald mages, and after beating the guy, he taunted Gray by revealing their real mission. After that, he started running as fast as he can. There you are! A voice exclaimed, and Gray felt someone grab onto the back of his pants, and carried him away. Hey! Gray exclaimed as he looked and saw Kurama. Kurama, there's no time to argue! He exclaimed as he flew through the halls. Wait, you have to know about Erigor's plan. We know, Kurama said. That's why there's no time to argue. Gray looked at him, nodded, stopping his struggling. Suddenly, he hit some of the decor with his face. "Oh! Watch where you're flying. There's no time," Kurama said, a glint in his eyes, suppressing a smirk. Meanwhile, Natsu was running around the halls, kicking down doors and yelling for Erigar to come out. Suddenly, he felt someone grab him on the back of his vest and started dragging him through the halls. "Hey! Let me go, you bastard!" Natsu exclaimed as he flailed his arms wildly. "I'll kick your ass?" Fox ignored him and used his senses to find Lucy and Happy. He then made his way towards them, and saw them walking away from his direction, calling for Natsu's name. "Hey, do you hear something?" Happy said as he looked at Lucy. "It sounds like Natsu," Lucy said as they were about to turn around. Lucy was suddenly off her feet as she felt someone carry her bridal style, and Happy was grabbed by a tail by something orange and furry. "Wah!" she cried before seeing that it was Fox that was carrying them. "Fox-kun? We have to get out of here, and quickly," Fox said to her as he kept running. Lucy, once her head was cleared, could feel where Fox's hand was holding her. She screamed and started slapping his head, which had no effect. "Let go, you pervert!" she cried as she could feel his hand gripping her but tightly, to make sure she won't fall down. "There's no time," Fox said simply. "Erigar is planning to use the lullaby on the guild masters." Lucy stopped slapping and looked at Fox, before pouting angrily at him. "You're just making excuses to feel it, aren't you? Pervert. You do have a nice ass," Fox admitted, causing her to blush deeply. "Let me go, you gorilla fat kappa!" Natsu exclaimed, not stopping for an entire minute. "HMO. Hey, Happy, hiya!" Happy exclaimed as he looked at what was holding his tail. It was orange and fluffy. "Is that a tail, HM?" Natsu said as he looked at Happy's tail and towards the orange, fluffy thing that seemed to be connected behind Fox's cloak. "Wow! I didn't know you have a tail, Fox." "You have a tail?" Lucy said in surprise. "No, I don't," Fox denied as he kept running. "Hey!" Kurama yelled as he saw them towards the stairs. "Quick, before we're trapped here," Fox exclaimed as he jumped down the stairs. He and Kurama carried out the others until they reached the outside. "Damn it! We're too late." In front of them was a barrier of winds, blocking everything from coming in and going out. They were trapped. They suddenly heard a grunt and looked to see Urza with an injured and bloody fist. "Urza!" Natsu, Gray and Lucy shouted as everyone rushed towards her. "Sorry, Fox-san," Urza said as she remained stoic from the pain. "I didn't make it." Fox just ignored that as he pulled out a scroll, getting the others' attention. He did a hand sign and exclaimed "Kai." That caused the scroll to release a puff of smoke, surprising them. When the smoke cleared, they saw some bandages, disinfection, cottons, band-aids, anything found in a first aid kit. "Give me your hand," he said in a gentle tone as he dabbed disinfection on some cotton balls. Urza looked at him before she nodded and gave him her injured hand. He removed the damaged gauntlet and dabbed on her wounds. She winced from the stinging sensation, but didn't move. Once the wounds were cleaned, he then wrapped bandages around her arm tightly. Once she was done, Urza looked at her arm and clenched her fist to test the bandages. She looked at Fox and gave him a grateful nod as he resealed the objects back to the scroll. "I didn't know Fox was a healer," Gray commented as he looked at the scroll. "What was that thing you did with the scroll?" Urza asked in a curious tone. "She's never seen such magic before." "Seals," Fox replied before looking at the barricade. "Now how do we stop this?" Suddenly, Natsu was behind him and lifted up his cloak, surprising everyone. They then saw 3, orange, fluffy and bushy fox tails on his lower spine. "Wow, you have 3 tails!" Natsu exclaimed before he found his face firmly on the ground, a smoking lump on his head. "Now, any ideas on how to get out of this?" Fox asked, acting like nothing happened, his left fist smoking, causing everyone to sweat drop. "Hang on," Happy said as he pulled something from his green sack. "I remembered something that I should have given to Lucy." "Remember that gorilla the Duke had?" "Yeah," Lucy said. "Why? She wanted me to give you this," Happy said as he showed them a golden key with the symbol of Virgo on it. "Since the Duke got arrested, she wanted to form a contract with you. We can use her to get out of here." "Wow, that's a good idea," Lucy said in surprise. "I guess sometimes you can be useful." "That's hurtful," Happy exclaimed as he handed her the key. "How's a spirit going to help?" Gray asked. "I remembered Virgo digging holes," Lucy said. "We can make a tunnel to escape." "Excellent," Urza said as she suddenly slammed Lucy's head to her chest, which was covered by a hard armor. "Ow!" Lucy exclaimed as she rubbed her head. She then looked at the key inside. "Open the door of the Virgin, Virgo." In a flash of light, a beautiful woman with light purple hair and blue, emotionless eyes appeared, dressed in a maid outfit, with chains on her wrists. Lucy, Happy and Natsu, who was standing up, looked at her with shocked silence. "Virgo?" Lucy asked. "Yes, how may I serve you?" Virgo asked with a bow. "Wow, you lost a lot of weight," Natsu commented. "I don't think that's right," Lucy said with a sweat drop. "My appearance is based on my master's taste," Virgo explained. "Oh yeah, the weird Duke has a weird taste for women," Happy commented. "So Lucy must be a pervert since you have chains on," Kurama said. "Hey!" Lucy exclaimed, glaring at the cat. So how may I serve you, mistress? Virgo asked as she looked at Lucy. Don't call me that, Lucy said. How about madam? No, princess? I guess that's all right, Lucy said with a nod. Is this really an important discussion? Fox asked, getting their attention. Right, Lucy nodded, remembering why she was needed. Virgo, I need you to dig a tunnel out of here. Of course, princess, Virgo said before she started spinning wildly. She then dug through the ground and appeared on the other side of the barrier. Awesome, Virgo! Lucy exclaimed as they entered the tunnel, using it to get through the barrier. Will you punish me, princess? Virgo asked, an eager glint in her eyes. No, Lucy said with a sweat drop, causing Virgo to look disappointed. So, you're that kind of pervert, Kurama said, looking at Lucy with a weird expression. Shut up! Lucy exclaimed before turning to Virgo. Anyway, thank you, Virgo. Anything for you, princess, Virgo said with a bow before disappearing. Alright, let's go. Urza exclaimed as she hijacked another SCP vehicle. Where's Fox and Kurama? Natsu asked as he looked for the two. Did they leave already? Gray said, surprised by how fast they went. Hurry, he can't take on Aragorn alone. Urza exclaimed as everyone got on the car, except Natsu, who had Happy carry him with his wings, unaware that a shadow merged with his. Meanwhile, Aragorn laughed as he flew on the train tracks, using it to keep the tornado moving. With the fairies trapped, no one will stop me from killing those arrogant bastards, he declared as he kept flying. You really think we'll let you? A voice said behind him. Surprised, Aragorn looked behind him and got punched to the face, knocking him away from his tornado. He looked up and saw Fox and Kurama in the air. You, Aragorn growled. I should have killed you in the train, fairy trash. You can't kill me, Fox declared as Kurama dropped him on the rails. You're not strong enough. Not strong enough? Aragorn said in a dangerous tone. I'll show you what strong means. He raised his scythe, which was coated with wind, and slashed it, sending a wave of sharp blades made of wind towards Fox. He simply moved his head to dodge the wind blade, causing his cloak to flutter, which hit one of the mountains, cutting some of it off. You see that, trash? Aragorn exclaimed as Fox just stood there. Oh? What's wrong? Did that scare you? Not really, a voice said behind him. Surprised, he turned and saw another fox. Wah! He exclaimed before two more appeared on his sides. Nah! The one in front exclaimed as he punched Aragorn on the jaw, sending him flying. Rue! Other one exclaimed as he kicked Aragorn's back, sending him flying. 2. The third one exclaimed as he did a spinning drop kick on Aragorn's abdomen, causing him to spit out globules of blood. Uzumaki barrage! They exclaimed as the first two kicked him towards Fox, who caught him by the face with his left hand and slammed him to the metal rails. Aragorn was unconscious, bleeding and bruised. Each attach was laced with chakra, so it felt like getting hit with a steel ball. I wasn't even trying, he said as the shadow clones disappeared in a puff of smoke. Nice job, Kurama said as he landed on Fox's head. Fox then pulled out some thin wires, wrapping them around Aragorn, and then placed the seal tag on his head, sealing his magic, just in case. He then grabbed the lullaby from Aragorn's belt. Hey! A voice exclaimed. They looked and saw Natsu and Happy flying towards them. Natsu's eyes widened when he saw Aragorn's condition. No way! You beat him! I wanted to do that. No, you beat him, Fox said, causing Natsu to look at him. I was just tying him up. No, I didn't! Natsu exclaimed. You did! I don't know what you're talking about, Natsu-san, Fox said as the others arrived. No way, he beat Aragorn? Gray said with wide eyes. Told you he was strong, Lucy said smugly. Good job on beating him, Natsu-san. Fox yelled, surprising them. It sure was one hell of a fight. I didn't beat him. Natsu exclaimed in anger. Ma, don't be so modest, Fox said, waving his hand dismissively. Why is he hiding it? Urza thought as she looked at the beaten Aragorn. He can be more than a C-class mage, even become an S-class mage. Oh, here's the lullaby, Fox said as he handed the flute to Urza. Thanks, trashes. A voice exclaimed below them as Kageyama appeared from Natsu's shadow, dressed in bandages, swiping the flute and going towards the SCP car. He put the plug on him and activated the vehicle, driving past the surprised mages. Crap, he's got the lullaby! Gray exclaimed. After him! Urza exclaimed and they started running at their top speed. Kurama, can you still fly? Fox asked to Kurama, who groaned from his head. Too exhausted, he said with a sigh. Me too, Happy said tiredly. I guess we're running then, Gray commented as they followed the tracks. I'm surprised you can keep up, Lucy, Urza said as she looked at the blonde. What's that supposed to mean? Lucy said with a pout, though she was surprised as well. She only trained for a few months, and already she's as fast as them. She smiled and looked at Fox's back, feeling grateful. Later, the group finally arrived at the guild master's meeting hall as night finally reached them. Lucy was panting lightly while the others seemed fine, though Gray and Natsu were sweating a little. Only Urza and Fox didn't seem winded. He's over there, and he's with the old man, Fox said, pointing right. Everyone quickly walked towards there and saw Makarov sitting on a boulder as Kageyama was about to play the flute. Old Ma Dash! Natsu and Gray were about to shout, when big, burly hands appeared on their mouths. Now, a male voice that tried to sound girly said, causing the two to turn white as they looked at the one holding their mouths. Just relax and watch. It was a bald man in his 50s, dressed in a purple dress, wearing makeup and jewelries, a set of wings on his back. Who is he? Lucy said as she cringed away from the old man. Greetings, Master Bob, Urza and Fox said politely while the latter bowed at him. The Master of Blue Pegasus. Lucy exclaimed in shock as she stared at the man. My Urza-chan, you grew up so beautifully, Bob said as he kept holding Natsu and Gray, who were trying to escape. And Fox-kun. Still mysterious, I see. How I would love to see the man beneath the mask. But I guess I'll settle with these two cuties. Help, the two pleaded. Just sit back and enjoy the show, brats, another old man with shoulder-length sandy hair said, wearing a pointy, black hat, a spiky dog collar and shades, dressed in orange and black. Let Maka handle this. You're the master of Quattro Cerberus. Lucy exclaimed. That's Master Goldmine, Urza explained as Fox bowed in greeting. Everyone looked at them before at Makarov and Kageyama. I can do this, Kageyama thought as he placed the instrument near his lips. Once I play this, everything will change. I know it will. Well? I'm waiting, young man, Makarov said in a calmly fashion. He tried to play it, but something was stopping him. I need to play this. Kageyama thought as he sweated. I just have to play one song, and everything will change. Nothing will change, Makarov said, causing Kageyama to look at him with shock. You cannot change the fact those who are weak will forever remain weak, but personally, that's not a bad thing. We humans are weak by nature, but our weakness are the reason guilds exist, and why we have people we can call comrades. With comrades, we can face the future without uncertainty. Think of it this way. We may stumble on the path we walk on, but we chose to walk that path and pledge our lives to the fullest, to live with faith and let our inner strength emerge on our darkest times. Don't let that silly flute ruin it for you. Everyone, even the guild masters inside, listened intently at his speech. Kageyama stared at Makarov with emotional eyes before he dropped the instrument and fell on his knees. I surrender, he said quietly. Natsu, Gray, Lucy, Happy and Urza cheered and rushed towards their master, surprising him. What are you brats doing here? He asked before Urza slammed his head on her metal chest plate. Ouch. Your speech really moved me, Master, Urza said happily as she released the old man, who was rubbing his head. This is why I joined Fairy Tail, a voice said that surprised Makarov. He looked and saw Fox with Kurama on his head, walking towards him. Fox? What are you doing with this crazy bunch? Makarov asked, gesturing at his other brats. We simply had the same destination, Fox said as he pulled out a brown package and handed it to Makarov. Here's your smut, pervy old man. Makarov gasped as he grabbed the package and tore the paper. The package released a golden glow in front of the pervert's eyes as they saw Ika, Stranded Love, showing a picture of a scantily clad woman playfully running from a semi-nude man. It's finally published. He cheered as held the book in the air. Hey, is that the new volume? Goldmine asked with a grin and blush. Yes. Makarov exclaimed as he held the book with reverie. I waited weeks for this to be published. Oh Maka-chan, you perv, Bob said as he giggled. Lucy's sweat dropped as the three powerful mages in front of her acted like this while Urza stared at the book with an interested glint in her eyes. She mused as she looked at the book. The name feels familiar somehow, but she didn't know why. Her eyes widened when she remembered Fox mentioned Ika when he lent her his book. When Makarov opened the book, it suddenly fell apart into neatly sliced pieces. Makarov paled as he stared at his precious with eyes full of despair. Fox said as he remembered him dodging Aragorn's attack. Some of the wind blades must have hit his cloak, which cut the book without him knowing. It must have been destroyed when Natsu-san fought Aragorn. Don't blame this on me. Natsu exclaimed. And stop lying. KH, you humans are so pathetic, a voice said that caused everyone to pause. Fox looked at the flute, which was releasing strong dark magic. I'm tired of listening to this. It's time for me to eat you. Suddenly, the flute started glowing before it started growing. The younger people looked with shock expressions as the flute turned into a giant wood monster with 3 purple eyes and flute holes. What is that thing? Lucy cried as she hid behind Fox. It's Lullaby's true form, Goldmine said calmly as he crossed his arms. My, this is something, Bob said as he put a hand on his cheek, not looking worried. That thing is Lullaby! Kageyama exclaimed. It's living magic, which was created by Zeref, Fox said in a calm tone. No way, Zeref's magic? Grace said with wide eyes. The magic from ancient times? Now then, which one of you wants to be my first meal? Lullaby said darkly. It's been so long since I have some tasty souls, like hell you'll eat our souls. Natsu shouted angrily, raising a fist. How about I eat your soul? Hey, do souls taste good? Why are you asking me? Gray asked. The guild masters saw Fox did a hand sign and a group of foxes silently appeared. He gave them a hand signal, causing them to nod and disappeared in a blur. Fox looked at the gathering guild masters, who didn't seem worried, so there was no need for him to fight. But just in case, the clones he created would seal the monster's movements. Suddenly, the sound of marching footsteps caught their attention. Everyone looked and saw a battalion of rune knights walking towards the monster, carrying spears, shields and a flag that proudly fluttered above them, showing their symbol. This isn't anything we can't handle. The lead knight exclaimed as he raised his spear. Charge! The group charged, letting out loud battle cries to Lullaby, who simply snorted towards them. The gust of wind hit the knights and half of them were sent flying. Not even worth my time, it said as the knights looked at their fallen comrades before at the monster. Retreat! They exclaimed as they dropped everything they were holding. Well, that was pathetic, Kurama commented as the mages watched the knights run. Damn it! I'm so hungry, I'll just eat all of you at once. Lullaby exclaimed as he targeted the mages. Phew! Fox exclaimed as he did the hand sign. Suddenly, Lullaby stopped moving as seals appeared all over its body. What the hell? I can't move! It exclaimed in anger and confusion. Everyone watched with confusion before they saw some shadowy figures running all over the monster before disappearing. Natsu! Gray! Attack now! Urza exclaimed as she changed into her Heaven's Wheel armor. While Fox has it immobilized. Right! The two exclaimed as they followed Urza's lead. Ice make, lances! Gray exclaimed as he created sharp lances made of ice, which pierced the monster's wooden skin. Fire dragons roar! Natsu roared, releasing a torrent of fire which burned the monster's shoulder, spreading to its right arm. Dance my blades! Urza exclaimed as the 10 swords flew towards the monster, piercing and slashing its skin. Amazing, Lucy said with wide eyes, speechless at what she was witnessing. Those brats are impressive. What did you expect from Makarov's guild? Enough! Lullaby exclaimed in anger. I can't move, but I don't need that to kill you. One song, and you will all die. That's right! Lucy exclaimed in a panic. Lullaby's a flute. All it needs is one song and it's over. Say your prayers. It exclaimed as it took a deep breath. There was no sound. What? Lullaby said as it looked over his body, and saw that it was filled with holes of many sizes. A flute can't produce a sound with so many holes, Kurama said with a smirk as he stood next to Lucy and Happy. That makes you useless garbage. The cat's got a point. It's not so scary now. GR bastards! Lullaby exclaimed as its mouth started glowing. Disappear! It fired a yellow beam towards the group of mages. The mages watched as the beam got closer, with Lucy closing her eyes, grabbing onto Kurama and a scared Happy. Shadow Gray's secret arts. Pillar of darkness. A large shadow erupted from the ground and formed into a big pillar that absorbed the beam, surprising everyone. Lucy looked and saw that the shadow was connected to Fox. You won't harm my comrades, Tebeo, he said, and Lucy looked at him with wide eyes, blushing slightly. Damn it! Lullaby exclaimed before its attention went back to the 3 that were attacking it. Ice make, cannon! Gray created a cannon made of ice, which fired chunks of ice towards the monster, destroying its skin. Blumenblatt! Urza exclaimed as she rushed towards the monster and swung 2 swords, with the other 10 swords following the strikes, cutting the monster more. With flame on the right hand, and flame on the left hand, combing the flames together, Natsu said as he jumped towards the monster and combining the flames from his right and left hand. Fire Dragon's brilliant flame! The attack created an explosion that sent the monster flying to the air. You're all monsters! Lullaby screamed as it started breaking apart. Wow, they did it! The guild masters and knights exclaimed as they looked at the 4 fairy tale mages that defeated the monster. Well, what did you expect from fairy tale? Makarov laughed, boasting about his mages. Great job, you 3, Fox said as he gave a thumbs up to Natsu, Gray and Urza. You beat the monster all on your own. You helped too, Fox, Urza said with a small smile as she changed back to her normal armor. No, I didn't, Fox denied. I didn't do anything. Stop lying, you bastard! Natsu exclaimed. Suddenly, a large piece of Lullaby landed on the guild master's meeting hall, causing everyone to stare at it in silence. Makarov lost his boastful expression and paled as the guild masters turned to glare at them. Well, we better run, Fox said as he grabbed Kurama and Lucy, surprising the blonde. Run away! Happy exclaimed as he followed Fox. I'm sorry, Master, Urza said as Makarov started crying at the thought of the expenses, the 2 following Fox's lead with Gray next to them. Yeah, get them! Natsu exclaimed as he ran with the guild masters. Aren't you with them? The mage next to him exclaimed. Unknown to them, someone witnessed their fight and were taking great interest on the mysterious Fox. I guess there's more to fairy tale than meets the eye, she said as she disappeared into the shadows. Chapter 5, The Magic Council. Geez, that was some mission, Lucy groaned as she rested in her bathtub, enjoying the warm water. My body is still sore. Lucy rested her head on the tub as she recalled the mission. After running away from the enraged guild masters for accidentally destroying the meeting hall, where Fox carried her and ran away with the rest of their group, she blushed since that was the second time he carried her. She also learned a lot of things about Fox, like him using some type of shadow magic. He's some kind of doctor, and has 3 bushy tails, which she finds odd, and she knew that he could match something like Lullaby, since he restricted its movements and blocked its attacks like it was nothing. She also remembered how muscular he was as he carried her away from the angry guild masters, holding on to his muscular chest. She blushed and splashed water on her face, to clear her mind. Don't think about him like that, she said to herself as she stood up from the bath and grabbed a towel, drying herself. He's my friend. And my teacher, but he is cool, but Mary Jane likes him. And then there was the incident with Levi-chan. She groaned, feeling like her head was all messed up. Because of the mission with Fox, unfamiliar feelings started rising in her chest. Ever since meeting him, her life changed. She has seen things in a way she never thought existed, and it was all because of him. Ugh, this is so confusing, she said as she walked to her living room. Hey, nice place you got here, Gray greeted, sitting on the sofa, shirtless. Gah! Pervert! Lucy exclaimed as she kicked Gray, blushing. Oh! What was that for? Gray asked, rubbing his face as Lucy grabbed some clothes and ran back to the bathroom, returning a few seconds later. That's my line! She exclaimed. It's bad enough that Natsu does it. I don't need a stripper to break in my home. For the record, I lost my shirt coming here, Gray said in a defending tone. I just came by to remind you of the fight. Fight? She repeated, looking at him with confusion. I knew you'd forget, Gray said with a sigh as he stood up. The reason why Natsu agreed to help Urza, remember? Lucy's eyes widened as she remembered Natsu asking Urza for a fight in exchange for joining the mission. A few minutes later, Lucy and Gray arrived at Fairy Tale, where a lot of the mages were gathered in front of the building. In the center of the large crowd were Urza and Natsu, preparing to fight. Wait, they're really going to fight? Lucy asked in shock as Natsu started stretching. But they're friends. So? We fight all the time, Gray said, looking at Lucy. But this looks serious. Lucy exclaimed before she saw Kana placing bets on who would win, with a lot of them betting on Urza. You're betting? Yeah, otherwise I'd be boring, Kana explained with a shrug as Happy walked towards her. Hey, can I bet on Urza? He asked. Well, I'm not betting, Lucy exclaimed, crossing her arms. It's immoral. I think there's a chance Natsu-san can win. Ha! Good one. Lucy turned and saw Fox and Kurama next to her, surprising her since she didn't see him nearby. Fox-kun! She exclaimed in surprise. Lucy-san, glad to see you're well, he greeted with a nod before turning to the fight. Let's see how much Natsu-san has improved since his last encounter with Urza-san. Last encounter? Lucy said as she looked at the two. You mean Natsu and Urza-san fought before? It wasn't a fight, it was a 1-second beating, Kurama replied. Natsu didn't even have a chance. Like, it was over in a blink of an eye. Shut up, Kurama! Natsu exclaimed in an annoyed tone. I was a kid back then. That was last year. The mages exclaimed in unison. I was a kid a year ago. Natsu exclaimed as he grinned eagerly. I've gotten stronger than before, so don't hold back, Urza. Very well. Requip! Urza exclaimed as her body glowed before her outfit changed. A dark red, one-piece swimsuit-like armor with black and orange parts shaped like flames and other parts looking like dragon's limbs. The breastplate shaped like dragon's wings, the greaves shaped like dragon's claws, and her hair was tied to ponytails that resembles a dragon's horns. That's Urza's Flame Empress armor. One of the mages exclaimed. It reduces fire attacks by 50%. Urza isn't holding back. Okay, I want a nice, clean fight with no property damage. Makarov exclaimed, acting as a referee. Now begin. The moment he said that, Natsu quickly charged, his fists lit with flames. With a roar, he threw a punch at Urza, which she blocked with her orange sword. Natsu quickly followed with a flaming roundhouse kick, which Urza dodged before she threw a punch that sent Natsu flying a few feet away. Fire Dragon's Roar! Natsu exclaimed as he released a stream of fire from his mouth. Urza crossed her arms in front of her, taking the attack head-on. Everyone watched as the flames hit Urza, some cheering, thinking they won their bet. Suddenly, the flames parted suddenly, revealing an unharmed Urza. Urza suddenly flew to the air, causing Natsu to grin as he jumped to the air, using his flames to propel towards Urza. He then started throwing flaming punches and kicks, which Urza deflected with her sword. Wow, Lucy said with wide eyes. To think the two of Fairy Tale's strongest can fight like this. Fairy Tale's strongest? Gray commented as everyone looked at Lucy. Well, you, Urza and Natsu makes Fairy Tale's strongest team, Lucy explained. What idiot told you that crap? Gray asked bluntly. Mary Jane, who was smiling behind him, suddenly cried in her little sister's arms. Oh! I didn't mean that, Mira-san! Gray exclaimed as all the guys gave him dirty looks for making her cry. Urza-san is the strongest female in Fairy Tale, but Natsu and Gray are not part of the strongest, Lucy-san, Fox explained, still facing the direction of the fight. There is a ranking system in the guild, with S-class as the highest, and there are only 6 people in Fairy Tale that has that rank, and one of them is Urza-san. Natsu-san and Gray-san have the potential to be S-class, but still have a long way to go. I didn't know that, Lucy muttered before looking back to the fight, with both fighters returning to the ground. You have gotten stronger, Natsu, she complimented with a smirk, looking serious. I don't need to hold back. Bring it, Urza! Natsu exclaimed as he prepared to unleash a strong attack. Stop! A voice exclaimed, causing everything to stop. They all looked and saw a humanoid toad dressed in white robes walking through the crowd, the symbol of the council displayed on the robe, with a group of rune knights behind him. I am a messenger from the Magic Council. A frog? Lucy thought as the messenger walked forward, pulling out a scroll. By the authority given to me by the Magic Council, the one named Fox is under arrest. Everyone's eyes widened as they turned to look at Fox, his expression hidden, but Kurama's wasn't. His eyes were wide with shock before they were filled with anger. Before he was about to do something, Fox started petting him, calming him down. Old man? Fox said, turning to Makarov, who didn't look pleased about what was happening. There's not much choice, Makarov said with a sigh. Go ahead, boy. It's probably nothing. Just a scolding for the mission with Lullaby. I get punished because Natsu-sen destroyed the Guildmaster's meeting hall? Fox said with a sigh as he walked towards the Rune Knights. How unfair. Hey! Don't blame me! Natsu exclaimed in anger as he stomped towards the group. And there's no way I'm gonna stand here and let you jerks dash. Kurama, Fox said as one of the knights shackled his hands together. Suddenly, Natsu doubled over as he felt something hit his abdomen, before he felt his limbs restricted by something thin. Blinking, he saw that he was hogtied by thin ninja wires, with Kurama patting his paws together. Hey! What's the big idea? Natsu exclaimed in anger as he struggled from the wires, his limbs erupting with fire. Shut up, Kurama said as he slapped a piece of paper on Natsu's head, with the symbols glowing. Natsu's eyes widened when he felt his magic suddenly restricted. Hey! What did you do? He exclaimed, before Kurama suddenly put a piece of duct tape over Natsu's mouth, silencing him and ignoring his angry, muffled protests. Kurama then watched as Fox was led away by the Rune Knights, growling as everyone stayed silent, while the Rune Knights took one of their own away. Shouldn't we do something? Lucy asked as she looked at Makarov, who only sighed. There's nothing we can do, but wait, the old master said. Later, Fox silently followed the frog through the marbled halls of the Magic Council. He hasn't spoken a word during the trip to the place. He has never been here before, since he never had any reason to. He's been to the area dozens of times, because of a mission, but never entered the headquarters of the Magic Council. As he walked through the halls, a figure sitting on the rails was waiting for them. It was a young man with blue hair and blue eyes, with a red tattoo under his right eye, dressed in a white coat over a black shirt, white pants and white boots. Fox noticed that his escort deeply bowed to the man, showing that he was one of the highest authorities. Greetings, Fox-san, the man greeted in a friendly manner, but Fox could feel something dark underneath, and felt like the man was incomplete. You know me, but I don't know you, Fox replied. Oh, how rude of me, the man said with a chuckle. My name is Segrain Fernandez, a member of the Magic Council. Impressive for someone your age, Fox commented. Why thank you, Segrain said with a nod before looking at Fox. You know, I have always been interested in fairy tale. You are an interesting bunch, always doing whatever you want, even after being warned by the council numerous times. That's just how we are, I guess, Fox replied with a shrug. Well, I shouldn't keep you waiting, Segrain said as he slowly disappeared, revealing to be a thought projection. See you inside, Fox-san. Fox just stood there before the frog leading him told him to move. Fox followed him through the oak double doors, which looked like a place where a criminal was to be judged. Sitting highly on the platforms were the 11 members of the council, the ones who decided the fate and priorities of every magic guild in Fiore. Fox walked towards the small platform with wooden fences. He then faced up, looking at the members. He could feel that some of them were very frustrated, probably at Fairy Tail, but a few of them weren't. Fox of Fairy Tail, the leading man said, an old man dressed in white robes, with long white hair and a long white beard, holding a gavel. Due to the destruction you caused at the Guild Masters meeting hall, we of the Magic Council decree that Fairy Tail shall pay for the damages caused. Is that all? Fox asked, slightly surprised. Well, this trial is just for formality, a beautiful woman dressed in a revealing white kimono with silky black hair explained. A showcase of our power, so to speak. Be quiet, Altair. A short old man with cat ears said in a stern voice. Though she is correct, Segrain said with a small smirk. I see, Fox said. But why me? Urza Scarlet was also there, and her name is widely known, unlike me, who only takes C-rank missions. Segrain suggested you, for some reason, a large man with a bushy, white beard replied. I see, Fox said before pulling out a scroll from his cloak. How much does Fairy Tail owe you? Do you think you can pay for the entire EXP dash? One of them began, only to be interrupted when there was a loud poof and a cloud of smoke. Once the smoke cleared, some of the council members' jaws dropped at the giant pile of jewels neatly arranged next to Fox. Will this suffice? Fox asked as he looked at the council, still shocked from the amount. Segrain and Altair were quietly chuckling from the old people's expressions. Yes, the leading councilman said, coughing in his hand. That is sufficient. Thank you. As long as there's no problem, Fox said with a nod as the frog uncuffed his hands. If that is all, I shall take my leave. Have a good day, Magic Council. He bowed at them politely before moving to the exit. The council members looked at him leave with strange expressions. I didn't know Fairy Tail has a gentleman in the guild, one of them commented. Yes, such a rare trait in such a troublesome guild, another agreed. Segrain just smirked as the frog man carried the money away. He knew Fox was hiding something, and he wanted to know what it was. After all, it could liven up the place. Fox walked out of the headquarters and saw that it was nearly sunset. It would take a long time for him to arrive back home, so he decided to stay at an inn for the night. It's surprisingly quiet, he commented to himself, as he walked to find an inn to sleep in. This was the first time he didn't have Kurama with him in a while, so it was surprisingly lonely for him to walk the streets alone. He then noticed a young boy and a young girl happily running through the emptying streets, smiling and laughing. He stood there as he felt the two ran back to where they live. Flashback. Hurry up, Naruto-kun! A 6-year-old Sayuri exclaimed as she ran through the empty streets of Konoha, the streets being dyed by the orange of the setting sun. You're too fast, Saya-chan. A 6-year-old Naruto exclaimed as he ran after his best friend. Slow down. Sayuri just laughed as she kept running. Naruto started laughing and ran after her. The two ignored the looks they were getting from adults. Naruto was getting scorns, glares and disgust, while Sayuri was getting the judgmental looks, wondering why she would associate with the demon brat. But they ignored them as they ran to Ichiraku Ramen, to enjoy dinner after a long day of playing together. Naruto gave a happy grin as the two entered the familiar stand together, being happily greeted by the father-daughter duo that ran the ramen stand. The two children then sat down on their usual stalls, smiling happily and enjoying the warmth. Flashback end. Loneliness really is unbearable, Fox thought sadly as he started walking again. After taking a few steps, he stopped as he felt something. He suddenly disappeared in his shadow, surprising the bystanders near him. In a dirty alleyway, a group of unsavory people surrounded a nervous girl. She was about 12 years old, with pale skin and beautiful red hair tied in braids that reached the back of her legs, dressed in a red dress. Come on, little lady, one of them said while breathing loudly. If you want our help, you have to remove your clothes. That's right, that's what you need to do for our help, another one said while the others nodded in agreement. The girl looked scared as her eyes shined with unshed tears, but she nodded and slowly started the process of removing her clothes. Suddenly, a heavy pressure filled the area that caused the group to almost stop breathing, though it didn't affect the girl. The shadows started moving menacingly towards the group. You bastards are the ones I hate the most, a voice echoed through the area, sending a chill of impending doom as the shadows crept nearer, taking advantage of children for your own amusement. Shadow Grace, Black Vortex. Suddenly, the group started sinking in the shadows, causing them to scream in fright as they tried to free themselves from the shadows' embrace. The young girl watched in fear as the group were finally devoured by the shadows. Are you alright? She jumped at the sound of the voice, this time less menacing and gentler. She turned and saw Fox standing next to her. Did those men hurt you? The girl looked at him before slowly shaking her head. That's good, Fox said before returning to his monotone voice. Tell me, where are your parents? They must be worried about you. I don't have parents, the girl said. Oh, I'm sorry, Fox said, not knowing what to say next. Do you have a guardian? I was sent away from my village, the girl replied, no longer nervous in front of Fox. This is my first time away from the village. I see, Fox said, which explained why she was so willing to go with the group of disgusting men. You should be more careful, little lady. There are many bad men out here, the girl nodded. Fox then led her out of the alley, where she was holding on to the edge of his cloak. Not knowing what to do, Fox simply let the girl come with him until they found an inn. Sensing that the girl is hungry, the two sat down on the table and ordered some food. So, what's your name, little miss? Fox asked as they waited for food. I'm Flare Corona, the girl greeted politely. Hello Flare, you can call me Fox, Fox said. Tell me, why were you sent away from your village, if you don't mind me asking? My guardians thought that it was good for me to be with my own people for a while, Flare explained. Own people? Fox asked, confused as he tilted his head. Yes, Flare said with a nod. I'm from the Sun Village, which is the home for giants. Fox sat there, silent for a few moments before nodding. He heard stories of giants before, but just like dragons, they seemed to have faded into make-believe. But he was from another world, so he was open-minded about things like these. That, and he could feel that the girl wasn't lying. I see, it must have been hard for you to be around small people now, he said to the nervous girl. If he suddenly moved in a place with people bigger than him, he would be nervous too. Did your guardians told you anything else? No, just that I have to be careful and find good friends, Flare replied. Fox just nodded. The giants probably didn't know how dangerous the world is, since they're so big that there weren't many threats to them. The food then appeared, and the two started eating. Flare seemed to enjoy the food as she ate ravenously. Fox simply ate slowly, though Flare wondered how he was eating when his mouth was covered. They ate in silence before the last morsel was gone, and Flare smiled with satisfaction. So, tell me, Flare-san, Fox said, getting her attention. What are your plans now? I don't know, Flare said as she looked down. Fox hummed as he scratched his chin. Do you know any magic? Yes, Flare nodded before her hair suddenly moved, like a pile of snakes. The guardian of my village blessed me with magic to control my hair. Then would you like to join Fairy Tail? Fox asked in a kind tone. Fairy Tail? Flare asked, tilting her head. It's the guild where I'm from, Fox said as he tapped at the metal plate on his blindfold. A place where mages like me gather and make a living. There's a lot of good people in Fairy Tail, so you won't have any problems. Really? Flare asked, looking hopeful. Really, Fox said with a nod. I'll take you there tomorrow. Right now, we should get some rest. Flare, with a happy smile, nodded. Fox then booked a room for two of them to share. Fox was sitting on his bed in a meditative state as Flare took the shower first. This was a good opportunity for him to train his chakra reserves. He started stretching his chakra as far as he could, almost covering the entire town. He could feel every living thing in the town, from the oldest man sleeping to the youngest baby crying, from the biggest dog eating to the smallest ant gathering. He then started gathering the natural energy in the area, turning them into chakra. It was something he discovered a long time ago by accident when he was learning meditation to calm his emotions. He was exhausted from training that day, so he meditated to relax himself. As he started focusing on the area around him, he could feel a lot of energy in the area. Without meaning to, he used his chakra to absorb the energy in the plants, quickly refilling his reserves and causing it to grow, as well as a few physical changes. He did some research on what he did, and the closest thing he discovered was senjutsu, a technique to gather nature energy from the world around him, something that the Shodaime Hokage could do. He was shocked that he did something that the founder of his home village could do, but it gave him the edge he needed in case he faces against stronger opponents. So he kept practicing senjutsu until it became second nature for him to gather natural energy. He then heard the bathroom door open. He turned to the direction where Flare was walking, dressed in the clothes she came in, which was now clean thanks to magic. She was drying her hair with a towel, but because of the length, she was having a hard time. "Would you like some help?" Fox asked to Flare, who was struggling. "I'm sure there's a hairdryer here somewhere." "I don't want to bother you," Flare said in a shy tone. "It's not a bother to help someone," Fox said, smiling behind his mask as he found the hairdryer. It was powered by lacrima, a magic crystal used to power everyday home appliances. Flare looked nervous before she sat in front of Fox, her back facing him. Fox turned on the device, releasing warm air to Flare's hair as he gently combed it. Flare smiled happily, enjoying the feeling. This was the first time someone else was combing her long hair, and it felt relaxing. Once he was done, he braided her hair until it was back how it was. "There, all done," he said to Flare, who nodded happily. "Now go to bed. We have a long journey tomorrow." "Hi," she said as she walked to one of the beds. She lied down, covering herself in the blanket. A few minutes later, she was asleep, probably exhausted from her day. Fox just smiled before he went to sleep as well on the other bed, getting comfortable. The next day, Fox was leading a nervous Flare to the building of Fairy Tale, which was surprisingly quiet. The girl was holding on to the edge of his cloak as she followed him. Now, don't be nervous," Fox said to Flare, feeling her nervousness. "They're good people. They're crazy lunatics, but still good people." Flare looked at Fox before taking deep breaths and nodding. Fox then entered the guild with Flare in tow. Everyone looked at him before they exclaimed, "Fox, you're all right." Lucy exclaimed, happy and relieved to have him back. It felt odd without him in the guild. "It's good to have you back, Fox-san," Mary Jane said with a big smile. "What did they do to you?" Natsu exclaimed. "Did they torture you with seals or something? Hey, who's that girl with you? Wow, she's cute. Her hair is so long." Flare grew nervous from the attention and hid behind Fox. Suddenly, Kurama landed on top of Fox and sighed comfortably. Fox just smiled behind his mask as he petted his furry companion. "Thanks for keeping Natsu in here, otherwise I would have stayed there an extra night," Fox said to his partner. "Don't mention it, it was dull without you here," Kurama said before he closed his eyes. Makarov suddenly walked towards Fox, silencing everyone. He stopped in front of him with a serious look. "I am back, old man," Fox greeted with a bow. "What did the council want?" he asked. "Nothing, just someone to blame and pay for the damages," Fox replied before gesturing at the girl hiding behind him. "Oh, and this is Flare-san. I found her when I was going home and she has nowhere else to go, so I thought she would join the guild." Makarov looked to the girl, who was peeking through the cloak. Fox then petted the girl encouragingly. The girl looked at him, seeing him nod, before she walked towards Makarov. "I'm Flare Corona, and I would like to join Fairy Tale," she said with a bow. "Well, if you brought her, why not?" Makarov said with a big smile. "Welcome to Fairy Tale, Flare-chan." Mary Jane took the young girl to the bar to get her stamp and sign some papers, and Fox went to his usual table. He sighed, finally feeling comfortable at being back home. Lucy then took the seat next to him, so did Urza, Natsu, Happy, Lisana and Gray, much to his surprise. "Hey, what really happened at the Magic Council?" Lucy asked, curious. "Like I said, they just wanted to pin the blame on the damages you guys caused," Fox said, looking at Natsu, Gray and Urza. "Hey, you fought too!" Gray exclaimed. "No, I didn't," Fox said as he pulled out his bottle of sake and drinking cup. "I was just a bystander that got caught." "Fox-san," Urza said, getting his attention. "Did a man named Seagrain talk to you?" "Actually, yes," Fox replied. "In fact, he was the one that requested my arrest." Urza's eyes widened slightly before she calmed down. "Are you an acquaintance of Seagrain-san?" Fox asked. "No, but I was with someone he knows," Urza replied before quieting down. "Fox!" Natsu suddenly exclaimed, slamming his hands on the table. "Fight me!" "No thanks," Fox said before turning back to Lucy. "So, when should we continue training, Lucy-san?" "Hey! Don't ignore me!" Natsu exclaimed, fire erupting from his mouth. "Fight me, Fox! How about you fight Kurama instead, Natsu-san?" Fox suggested. What? I'm not fighting him. Natsu exclaimed, getting mad. Yeah, he couldn't beat me anyway, Kurama said, a smug tone in his voice. What do you say? Natsu exclaimed in anger. You want to fight? Bring it on, Kurama said as he floated off Fox's head and made a come-on gesture with his paws. Natsu roared and charged at Kurama, his fists lit with fire. He threw a punch, but Kurama disappeared, causing him to miss. Huh? Where'd he go? He asked as he turned his head left and right. Then something hit the top of his head at full speed, sending him crashing face first in the ground. Kurama then jumped off Natsu's head and back to Fox's. The guild was silent for a minute before they started laughing uncontrollably. Natsu lost to Kurama. Man, how embarrassing. Ha 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 ha. Gray would be laughing too, but he knows how strong Natsu is personally, so he was shocked to see Natsu get one hit by Kurama. Urza was looking at Natsu before at Kurama and Fox. Told you Kurama was strong, Lucy said to Gray, and Urza as happy poked Natsu with a stick as Lee-sana started bandaging his head. Era, it sure has gotten lively, Mira Jane said as she carried 2 bowls of ramen with Flare next to her, her guild mark located on the right side of her chest, the ink vermilion. Here, Fox-kun. I thought you might want something to eat, Fox-kun? Lucy thought as Mira Jane lowered the bowls as Flare took a sit next to Fox. Thank you, Mira Jane-san, Fox said as Kurama started eating his share. I am rather hungry. Great, Mira Jane said with a bright smile and a pink hue on her cheeks, causing Lucy to look at Mira Jane suspiciously. Suddenly, Lucy started swaying, her eyes feeling heavy. She wasn't the only one as everyone in the guild started swaying before they suddenly fell asleep. Lucy fell off her chair, with Urza and Gray following her. Mira Jane started falling towards the table head first, before Fox gently caught her so she won't hurt herself. Flare fell to the ground, also asleep. The only ones who weren't sleeping were Makarov, Fox and Kurama, who was still eating. They then heard footsteps and a figure walk in the guild. It was a man of lean build dressed in a dark blue cloak, his arms and legs covered in bandages, and blue and gray clothes with a pair of brown sandals and dark blue gloves. His face was covered by a headband with a metal plate and a dark green bandana, and carrying a wooden staff, with 4 more staves strapped on his back. Welcome back, Mistigan, Makarov greeted to the heavily dressed man. Yo, Mistigan-san, Fox greeted as he gently laid Mira Jane on the ground. Greetings, Fox-san, Mistigan said before going to the request board. You know, you should really stop casting this sleep spell, Fox commented as Mistigan grabbed a request. I prefer little interaction, Mistigan said as he got approval from Makarov to do the quest. Well, later, Fox said as Mistigan started walking out the exit, slightly waving at Fox. Hey! Undo your spell! Makarov exclaimed. 5, 4, 3 Mistigan counted down as he exited the guild. 2, 1 undo. As soon as he was gone, everyone that fell asleep suddenly woke up, yawning and stretching. Lucy drowsily stood up, rubbing her eyes. What happened? She asked tiredly as she saw the almost all of Fairy Tail fell asleep and were slowly waking up, except Natsu, who was still unconscious from Kurama's attack. This feeling it was Mistigan, Urza concluded. Mistigan, that bastard. He always does this, making everyone go to sleep. Man, his sleep spell is strong. Mistigan? Lucy asked as Flare and Mira Jane stood up, rubbing their eyes cutely. One of Fairy Tail's S-class mages, Fox replied, putting his chopsticks on the empty bowl of ramen. Lucy blinked as she looked at the bowl, wondering how long she was asleep that he already finished the ramen. Why did he put everyone asleep? Flare asked, tilting her head. He's not fond of interacting with others, Fox explained, causing the people near him to give him weird looks. That's weird coming from you, Gray said in a deadpan expression. That's mean, Fox said, though he said it in his monotonous voice. At least I don't put people to sleep. He has a point, Urza said with a nod. No one but the master knows what Mistigan looks like. That's not true, a voice said from the upper levels. They looked up and saw a blond man, gray eyes with a lightning-shaped scare across his right eye, dressed in a purple polo shirt, brown pants, black shoes, a black coat with gray fur like a cape and a pair of magic headphones, crossing his arms and smirking. I know what he looks like too. Laxus. You're back. One of them exclaimed. Who's he? Lucy asked as she looked at the man. That's Laxus Dreyer, another S-class mage, Urza replied, surprising Lucy. Laxus then looked at Fox, smirking widely. Besides, I'm not the only one who knows Mistigan, Laxus said. Fox seems to be friends with him. We work together from time to time, Fox said with a shrug, surprising the other mages. They didn't know about that. Laxus. Fight me! Natsu exclaimed, having woken up and jumping towards the man. Before Natsu could reach him, a giant hand slammed him back to the ground. The hand belonged to Makarov, who didn't even look at Natsu as his arm went back to normal. Natsu, you know you're not allowed to go up the second floor, he said as he lit up his pipe. Only S-class mages are allowed? Huh, how come? Lucy asked, looking at Urza. That's where all the S-rank missions are located, Urza replied, looking at Lucy. Missions so dangerous that only S-class mages are allowed to take them. We keep them up to the second floor, so people won't be tempted to take the mission. Her gaze turned to Natsu, and Lucy understood that. Natsu seems like the kind of guy who would take a dangerous mission for fun. It was probably safe for the missions to be away from them. Humph, you should just stay there at your place, Natsu, Laxus said as he walked away from the wooden rails. Just like the rest of you. Ha ha, a lot of them seems pissed off from Laxus' comments, as they started yelling how a jerk he is. Man, what a jerk, Lucy commented with a pout. Don't mind him, Urza said, though she does look displeased. By the way, Mirajane-san, Fox said, getting the barmaid's attention, not bothered by Laxus' speech. Can Flare-san stay in Fairy Hills? There's no other place for her to stay in. Sure, I'll help her get settled in, Mirajane said kindly. Fairy Hills? Lucy asked, confused. It's a female-only dormitory for Fairy Tail, Fox explained. It's just located on the hills nearby. The rent is 100,000 jewels a month. Lucy exclaimed in shock. That cheap? Why didn't I know about this? You didn't ask, Kurama replied with a shrug. Besides, you have a nice place. But I need to pay 500,000 jewels a month. Oh well, too late, Kurama said as Lucy kneeled on the ground, a cloud of depression appearing above her. Later, Lucy was walking back to her apartment, balancing on the ledge of the bridge, with Plu, a dog spirit that looks like a small snowman, walking next to her. Geez, I learned a lot today, she said to Plu, who was shaking like always. Like the guild ranking. I already met 3 out of the 6 strongest, well, 2 of them. Oh, and Fox-kun. He's definitely strong. Then there's me, Kurama, Natsu and Gray, then everyone else. She imagined the guild hierarchy, with Fox, Urza, Laxus and 4 mysterious figures at the top of the pyramid, then below them were her, Kurama, Natsu and Gray, and at the bottom were the remaining mages of Fairy Tail, who didn't seem happy to be at the bottom. Man, there's so many amazing people in Fairy Tail, Lucy said with a small smile. Maybe if I train enough, I'll end up as an S-class mage. She then unlocked her door to her apartment, and entered it, and was greeted with the sight of a sweaty Natsu doing sit-ups, and happy copying him. Gee, she exclaimed in shock before it changed to disgust. What are you doing? You're getting sweat all over my carpet. We're just training, Natsu said as he finished his sit-ups, wiping his face with the towel. Happy agreed. Guess what, Lucy, Natsu said with a grin as he showed her a request form. We're going on a mission. Really? Lucy said as she took the paper and read it, but stopped when she saw what rank it is. Wait, this is an S-rank mission. Yeah, Happy stole it. Natsu said with a grin. Are you crazy? Lucy exclaimed, waving her arms around. You could get into trouble. Come on. It'll be fun. Natsu said with a grin, not ashamed of his crime. No way. Lucy said as she crossed her arms and looked away with a huff. I don't want to get in trouble. Fine, Natsu said with a huff before he and Happy climbed out the window. Exit like a normal person. Lucy exclaimed as the two jumped out the window. Geez, those two. She then noticed that the request was on the ground. They forgot the request, Lucy said as she picked it up. I should probably return it, HM? She read the request, which was asking for help in a village located in Galuna Island. She then saw the reward. Wow, 70 million jewels. That's a lot, Lucy mumbled before noticing something. An additional reward. Her eyes widened when she saw that the extra reward was a golden key, one of the 12 zodiac keys. She stood there for a few seconds before smiling mischievously. Natsu! Happy! Wait up! She exclaimed as she quickly left her apartment and ran after the two. What if Naruto joins Fairy Tail Konoha bashing harem? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.